Treadwell, Jr. Evan is being escorted tonight by his mother, Diamond Treadwell. He is a 4-year member of the football team. Viking fans, let's hear it for Evan Treadwell, Jr. Number 12, defensive back, Morris Turner III. Morris is being escorted by his parents, Morris Jr. and Crystal. Morris has been playing football for Central for 3 years. Viking fans, let's hear it for Morris Turner III. Number 19, slot receiver and running back, Khalil Williams. Khalil is being escorted by his mother, Christina Gandy, and his father, Frank Williams. This is Khalil's 4th year playing for the Vikings football program. Fans, let's hear it for Khalil Williams. Team equipment manager, Landon Tarrant. Landon is being escorted by his parents, John and Rhonda, his brother, Justin, class of 2018, Brennan, class of 2021, and Jonathan, as well as his sister, Laura. This is Landon's 2nd year managing equipment for the Central Catholic Vikings. Ladies and gentlemen, Landon Tarrant. Fans, we would also like to extend our congratulations and best wishes to the senior members of the Gateway Gators football program. Once again, let's have a nice round of applause for the senior members of the Central Catholic Vikings football program.
Let's go, boys!
You guys typically just you guys want a blanket to sit on?
Your paid admission to this event entitles you to enjoy an exhibition of skills developed by student athletes in an educational setting. By meeting the challenge of sportsmanship in the stands, you are providing a sound example for students, as well as representing your community and school with dignity and pride. Please give the student athletes your positive encouragement and support. Any unruly behavior, sexist, racial, or ethnic comments, abuse or foul language or taunting of players, coaches, or officials will not be tolerated and will lead to your removal from this event. Thank you and enjoy the game.
But I threw out, remember? I threw out. I did, barely. I did a maneuver. I didn't support them. I wouldn't have made it. Really? Are you parking it? You're big. 100%. Yeah, I need to come with them. I want your puppy.
to do it in style with a Go Central Go magnet. While you're at it, pick up your Vikings rally tile. They make great stocking stuffers. Rally tiles are just $10 each and magnets $5. All proceeds benefit the Viking Marching Band's Go Central Go Fund for their trip to Orlando to represent the blue and gold at Disney in February. The Viking Marching Band is comprised of students from Oakland Catholic and Central Catholic. Shout out to the anonymous donor who provided the magnets, and to Nick and Amy and everyone down at Bellucci Plumbing for graciously donating the rally tiles. Don't put your cash away yet. Make sure you get your tickets for tonight's 50-50 raffle for what is sure to be a large cash prize. 100% of the proceeds benefit the Central Catholic Football Boosters. Look for the paired boosters selling tickets at the entrance tonight. Winners will be drawn and announced in the third quarter.
We have to teach them early.
Hi, how are you? Good to see you again.
Hi, how are you?
And we are live at Dormont Memorial Stadium in Dormont, Pennsylvania, as the Gateway Gators take on the Central Catholic Vikings here on the Gateway Football Network. Gateway 7-2 on the season, the Central Catholic Vikings 5-4 on the year. The Gators come off of an impressive home victory against the Norwin Knights in conference. Meanwhile, Central Catholic winners of their last two football games. And while this is an interclassification matchup, Vince, it's a game between two teams who have a lot of playoff aspirations, and that playoff seeding rides on this game.
Certainly, that's probably the only real intrigue you're going to get out of this game. Non-conference, both teams have already clinched playoff spots in 6A and 5A respectively for the Vikings and Gators, and so a bit of a resume building opportunity, but I am really curious to see how long these starters stay in. Will they go the full length of the game, trying to bolster those resumes for the playoffs? Or do the coaches sort of have that agreement that we want to keep all of our horses in the stable, keep everyone healthy for that first round of the playoffs, and kind of get guys ducking out after the first quarter? It's going to be interesting to see.
Now, Vince, you had an opportunity to see both of the last two games on the road at McKeesport, at home against Norwin. First of all, talk about the way the Gators played last week in their conference finale against the Knights.
It was a get-right game. Norwin certainly has struggled on the season, and the Gators were able to shake off that performance against McKeesport. Brad Birch, 8 of 11, 294 yards and 4 touchdowns. So half of his completions went for pay dirt. He had a lot of long touchdown connections, and so they really feasted in that area of the game, and I think they'll look to do that again tonight, continue to bolster that passing game. And on the defensive side of the ball, they really were suffocating, as they have been for most of the season, and I think it was a complete performance and probably one of the most complete we've seen outside of the Hempfield game.
Tonight should be a good opportunity for the Gateway offensive line to get their legs back underneath them. Last week, of course, they had a very good football game against the Norwood Knights, but they struggled mightily 2 weeks ago against McKeesport.
My goodness. I mean, part of it was McKeesport was physical, and they took it to the Gators. Give them a lot of credit. They won the battle in the trenches, and their skill players shone brightly. But a big part of that was the misdirection from that wishbone option that they have. They just whiffed on a couple different plays. And so Jaleel Perryman had multiple touchdown runs, 75, 85 yards. He just plumb confused the Gators and got loose, and it was off to pay dirt from there. And so that's something that teams are going to watch. These teams have a lot of film as we go into the playoffs. And, some of the names, some of the teams that we hear that the Gators might face up with, Pine Richland, Penn Hills, known to be physical, known to be able to run the ball well, and that's in the losses for the Gators this season. That's really what's plagued them against both McKeesport and Franklin Regional, is the inability to get stops defensively against the run.
You mentioned the Rams and the Penn Hills Indians, two teams we're going to be watching on the scoreboard all night long because their games tonight may have a bearing on Gateway's playoff seeding.
Yeah, a ton of different games around 5A. You also have Peters Township and Bethel Park. You have Franklin Regional and Penn Trafford here, the big East game that everyone's going to have their eyes on. And so there's a few games that if they go a certain way, if Woodland Hills can pull an upset, if North Hills can pull an upset, if Penn Trafford can find a way to win against Franklin Regional, this bracket could get really messy, and we could get talking about a lot of Gardner points and things like that. And so I'm interested to keep sort of one eye on the field and one eye on Twitter to kind of see how these games start shaking out tonight.
Well, we are going to have a great football game between two old rivals in the Big East, but of course, now the Central Catholic Vikings are in 6A, the Gateway Gators are in 5A, and for the first time in a long time, Gateway takes on Central Catholic, and it's here at Dormont Stadium, and we are seconds away from kickoff here in the South Hills of Pittsburgh. So the Vikings will kick off to begin this football game. Right to left across your screen, they wear the blue jerseys with the gold numerals and the gold pants. Blue lids with the Viking horns on both sides of their helmets.
Billy Leck to kick off for the Vikings.
Rowan Cotter will kick off for Central Catholic. Two Gators back deep to return. Kenny Lewis alongside of Dallas Harper. And we are underway in Dormont, PA. Harper on the return from around the 13-yard line. Takes it towards the middle of the field, cutting far side, finds a crease towards the 35 to the 36-yard line, where he will be brought down by a couple of Vikings, including Gavin Stanek. It'll be 1st and 10 for Gateway with the ball at the 36.
Good vision there by Harper. He is so difficult to bring down. He really reminds me of how Patrick Bodie played last season, where he just seemed to not necessarily have to turn the jets on as much because it was just going to be hard to bring him down whenever defenders got to him. It was going to take more than one. And so sets the Gators up with decent field position here for their first possession.
Power pistol for the Gators with Reynolds behind Birch. Play action. Down the middle of the field, the pass will go, and it's intercepted. On the return for Central Catholic is Vernon Settles, and Settles to the far sideline out of bounds, and the INT gives Central Catholic the ball deep inside of Gateway territory near the 30.
And Birch had his eyes locked downfield, and good job there by Settles to read the eyes of the quarterback, make the break on the ball. The receiver didn't come back to it, waited for it, looked like they were going to catch that Malachi Moore sort of off the jersey, and Settles, more aggressive there, just went after it, got it, and flipped the field quickly. Now Central Catholic deep in Gators territory to start their first drive.
Vikings straight from the sideline to the line of scrimmage. Gators rode white jerseys, gold pants, black lids with the Gators on both sides. Movement before the snap, and that's going to back Central Catholic up 5 yards. So false start against the home Central Catholic Vikings.
First and 15 for the Vikings from the 37.
And they're at the 37. Play action. Rolling to the near side left. The pass is complete. Pulling that one in. Gompers.
Complete to Gompers.
Tackle on the play by Sherrod.
A good open field tackle there by Sherrod, and very minimal gain there as it looks like Central Catholic going to try to go tempo here. Got good quarterbacks on both sides of the ball. Two guys that really like to throw the ball around. Wayner coming off of 2 straight 300-yard performances. We know Birch last week, 294 and 4 touchdowns. Should be fun to watch these two teams throw the ball around.
Trips to the right of the formation. Wayner looking right, throwing right, setting up the screen. Slipping his way in goes Gonzalez, and Gonzalez all the way down inside of the 10. He'll be brought down at the 8-yard line, where it'll be first and goal for the Vikings.
Good play call, good execution. You saw they let the floodgates open. The Gators over pursued, and then just slipping in behind was Gonzalez. Gonzalez, he scored twice last week in the win over Seneca Valley that clinched the playoffs for the Vikings.
First and goal, Vikings from the Gateway 8.
Vikings in the shotgun, sidecar to the left-hand side of Peyton Wayner. Flags before the snap, and another false start against Central Catholic. And that'll push the Vikings back 5.
That's got to be frustrating at this point in the season. Staring down the postseason next week, you'd hope that you'd have a lot of these things worked out. But worth noting, this is a young Central Catholic team. They only at any given time have 2 seniors that play on both sides of the ball. So definitely some growing pains from a team that made it to the 6A finals last season.
Trips left, handoff. Running to the near side. It's Faulkner, and Elijah Faulkner is brought down. Tackle on the play by Demetrius Harper.
Harper continues to do a great job there on the edge. Able to get off his block quickly. Doesn't pinch, doesn't over pursue. Good tackle in open space.
Second and 14.
Central Catholic running a player on late here on second down and 13. Now they'll look to the sideline. Peyton Wayner getting the play from the near boundary. Steps forward. Now will retreat. Of note, no play clock here tonight. So that'll have to be kept down on the field, as this one will be broken up in the end zone, nearly intercepted. But the Gator down there in front of a Viking in Gonzalez couldn't pull it in. So that incomplete pass will bring up third down.
Oh, yeah, Kenny Lewis, sorry, Adam, is just kicking himself here. You can see Harper put both hands on his helmet there. He can't believe that Lewis didn't come down with it. Lewis usually pretty sure-handed. They have him back there as a return man on kickoffs for that reason alone. Just unable to come down with that one, and that would have been big to keep the Vikings off of the scoreboard here, as they're well in field goal range.
Motion man pinching from right to left, settles as a slot on that right side. Toss to the right, completed to the running back Faulkner, and Faulkner sidesteps one Gator, but 2 more come up to make the stop, including Remy Bowes. And that'll bring up fourth down and goal from the 15.
Yeah, you see here Ricariel, the first one to get over that way. He sees the opportunity to really lay a boom on a player that's still getting his feet settled. And good job by Faulkner to get past that initial wave, but also a good job by the Gators taking a good angle and getting a couple guys in there to gang tackle to force the field goal try.
And it'll be Cotter to attempt the field goal, which will be about a 32-yard field goal from the right hash. Good snap, hold down, that kick is up. And that kick is good. And with 8:47 to play here in quarter number 1, Central Catholic scores first. A field goal of 22 yards. Or rather 32 yards, excuse me.
Well, for the Gators, you just spotted 3 points there to the Vikings on the turnover from the first play from scrimmage. And so now try to recollect yourself, get back out there and put a drive together. Good ball by Birch, but receiver Malachi Moore just not coming back to the ball, and good defensive play there by Settles to get in front of that one. So try to shake that one off. And again, this game not super consequential, but you'd love to go into the playoffs feeling good about yourself, taking on a team that a little size advantage on you, a little enrollment advantage on you.
Now, one thing, Vince, that we have to remember is, Gateway for the majority of the second half last week had a lot of their reserves in the game. So we may see the starters a little bit more than usual just because of that. Guys don't want to be too rusty going into the playoffs. You got to shake the rust off after a couple of weeks off, just like me. It's been a while since you and I have been on the call. In fact, it was 3 weeks ago at Gateway when Penn Trafford traveled to Monroeville in the Battle of the Bell, and the Gators got that victory. Caught by Harper again around the 13, cutting it to the left across the 25, the 30, the 35, the 40. And he will be forced to the boundary by Xavier Thomas. And it will be 1st and 10 for Gateway near midfield. Nice return by Harper.
And I really like the switch of getting Harper back there and just increasing the amount of times in a game that you get your top playmaker the ball in space. That's only going to serve to keep him warm and keep him in a groove offensively. And you just see there, he has such an ability to find open space, read his blocking well. Kenny Lewis doing a good job springing him for those extra yards there up over the 40. And yeah, Adam, you talk about that break. Lest we forget, Gators are the ones that had the bye last year. Penn Hill sort of caught them off guard in that first-round playoff game.
Yeah, and Penn Hill's really stepped out early. Gateway was able to get their feet under them, but ultimately a game-winning field goal for the Gators came up short. Penn Hill's ended up advancing to the next round of the playoffs.
Yeah, you spot a 17-point advantage to a rival in your home building, take the wind out of things. That's going to be hard to recover from. And as much as that was last year, you don't want to replicate that. Luckily, no buys this year.
Jaquan Reynolds, the ball carrier on 1st and 10 from the 44, 1-yard losses. He's brought down by Petruzzi. Handoff. Reynolds again has some room to the right-hand side, drives his way towards the midfield stripe after some big contact. Tackle made by Elijah Faulkner.
Boy, is he tough. You see him running downhill here. Reads it, bounces it, and you'll take a look right here. Lowers the shoulder, running through contact. Reynolds has had himself a fine year this year in both regards as a pass catcher and as a ball carrier. That was a nice run right there.
3rd down and 5 for the Gators from their own 49-yard line.
Power pistol favoring the right-hand side this time. Handoff, Reynolds to the midfield stripe and no further. So a gain of 1 on 3rd down and 5 brings up 4th down and 4 at the 50.
You wonder in a non-conference contest if the Gators get a little more adventurous here, get a little more risk-adverse. But I wouldn't be surprised here you see Birch back up a little bit. They have that option of the pooch punt from this area of the field.
Hard count, Central Catholic breaches the neutral zone. And diving in there was Duron Smith, and that is going to cost the Vikings 5 yards, and that's a Gators 1st down inside of Vikings territory at the 45.
Well, 9 out of 10 times it doesn't work, and sometimes you have to burn a timeout or just punt the ball away, but that's why coaches do that. That's why you set up, and as much as teams know that's coming, still there's that urge every once in a while to jump, and Gators got the Vikings on that one.
Birch, shotgun, sidecar to his left. Handoff, Reynolds. Goes right and cuts it back left. Not a lot of room there. Maybe a gain of 1 as there's a big stack of blue jerseys involved in the tackle. Anthony Specca amongst others.
Interesting, after that first pass interception, the Gators have gone full ground attack here on this drive thus far. Wonder if they're trying to set up the play action a little bit.
Play being called in from the sidelines as Birch looks over to both the decoys and whoever is the real caller tonight. which includes Donnie Hall, the offensive coordinator. Motion man, left to right is Livesey. Play action. Birch just fumbled the football. He wound up and the ball came loose, and Central Catholic falls on it at the 50-yard line.
And he just got the yips there, just whiffed on it. I mean, the arm came forward and he just let go of the ball. I mean, take another look here. I mean, I've never seen that happen. Not from Birch, and very rarely in a game. I mean, you see contact sometimes altering things, but for a guy to just drop back and forget the ball when he goes to throw, that's a tough break for the Gators. And now for the second time in the first quarter, you give the ball to Central Catholic basically in your own territory.
And, a circumstance where it's raining, you may see that, but certainly not on a dry night where weather is not a factor. High pass pulled in. Gonzalez on the reception. Tackle on the play by Kenny Lewis, also involved in the stop, Demetrius Harper.
That's a good point. It's a little brisk here tonight, but, I mean, beautiful weather conditions, a great night for a game, and no precipitation whatsoever. Well, defense got to come up with another stop.
Motion man takes the handoff on the jet sweep from left to right. The ball carrier settles. Settles gets to the line of scrimmage before being driven to the turf. Tackle on the play by Leonard Sherrod for the Gators.
A good stop there. Brings up 3rd and short. We got a player down for... That's Settles, who came up with the initial interception. That's a big loss for Central Catholic, and that's the thing that you got to be weary of here in this game. Is, the last thing you want is for either of these teams, we look at it through the lens of the Gators, to be without a guy like Barron Fowler, Matthew Brooks, or Brad Birch. That'd be a huge loss.
Time to take a look at the standings in the Big East Conference here in 5A. Franklin Regional has won at least a share of the conference title and the #1 seed in the Big East. Gateway Gators currently ranked 3rd in the Trib Live High School Sports Network rankings. #2 in the conference. Penn Trafford taking on the aforementioned Franklin Regional Panthers this evening. They're 2-2. Plum is 2-3. As they have finished up their conference play. Hempfield with a conference game to be played tonight against the Norwin Knights.
We talked about, and looking at some of these games tonight, obviously the big one that stands out there is Penn Trafford hosting Franklin Regional, and that one going to determine if Franklin Regional stays alive for a wild card berth or if Franklin Regional can stay unblemished and win the conference outright. You and I, Adam, we talked prior to this, talking about the full picture of the playoffs, and certainly a team that's favored tonight is Pine Richland against North Hills, and if they would win them and Penn Hills over Woodland Hills, it would create a scenario where you'd have your 3 conference champions, and I say this because you'd have Pine Richland and Gateway as probably the 2 teams that would be vying for that 4th home opportunity. And so if a game like tonight, if these starters stay in, the Gators have a chance to bolster that resume a little bit. And we talked about who has the better resume. Pine Richland did beat the Central Catholic team, so that's something that the selection committee is probably going to weigh in when you look at common opponents and strength of schedule.
3rd down and 1. To the ground go the Vikings, and coming up just shy of the line to gain is the ball carrier Faulkner. Nice stop by Leonard Sherrod. A solo tackle brings up 4th down and about 1.
Yeah, that really looked like, you look right there, it looks like a 1st down. All Faulkner has to do is just sort of keep those legs running and fall forward. Sherrod came up with a heavy hit there, stopped the ball carrier right in his tracks, and now big 4th down here upcoming. Clock
winding as the Vikings go to the ground, and they will give a little assistance to the QB, and that is enough for the 1st down. Peyton Wayner with the 1st down for Central Catholic.
Easy enough. Just get all your big guys there. And you see this more and more in football now. Quarterback hikes it, and the running backs just come up from behind and just start pushing them. And that was enough. All he had to do was sort of fall forward behind his blockers.
Notice no double motion or any yo-yo motion or anything like that. They just went straight ahead. Toss down this near left side. Gonzalez leaps up, pulls it down. inside the 5-yard line. Kenny Lewis on the coverage for Gateway, but a great pitch and catch for the Vikings as Wayner finds Gonzalez, setting up first and goal inside the 5. They'll spot the ball inside the 2, shy of the 1.
Boy, is Gonzalez good. We talked about him having a couple touchdowns last week. He's the go-to target for Wayner and just high points the ball in traffic. It juggles it a little bit, but is able to come down with it and then able to drag the defender down toward the goal line. I thought for a moment his progress and him not hitting the ground might have taken him in, but
now Gonzalez motions from left to right. And an illegal shift against Central Catholic. 2 men in motion. And again, the Vikings. First and goal inside of the 10-yard line. Get pushed back, and now it's first and goal with the ball at the 6.
After the penalty, first and goal Vikings from the Gateway 6.
that's frustrating. Pushing yourself back, beating yourself, and you go from just needing to fall forward for a yard. Now you got an extra 5 on top.
Handoff, hole over the right side, and the ball came loose at the goal line. Just shy of the goal line, the ball squirts loose from Faulkner, and the Gators will recover it. A takeaway by Gateway shuts down a first and goal circumstance for the Vikings.
Want to take another look at that one, see who came in and jarred that ball loose, but
Let's go, D.
my goodness, take a look. That's what happens. I mean, you had a first and goal at the 1. All you have to do is fall forward with another QB sneak. Instead, first down and 6. You got to run it, and the more yards you got to gain, the more opportunities there are for something to go haywire there down in a congested area along the goal line. And credit to the Gators defense. What a big-time stop, but they're not out of the woods just yet, Adam. I mean, they're in the shadow. They're in their own end zone practically, and so they're going to have to really mind their P's and Q's here after a couple turnovers early.
First and goal. Toss, complete. Livesey hauled down out across the 10. That's enough for a Gators first down as the tackle is made by Gompers. But that certainly gives the Gators some breathing room.
Yeah, that's big. And one thing to note, the safety over the top there, number 22, did not get into the play. Gavin Stanek, he was late coming onto the field. And so that gave Birch an opportunity to read where that weakness in the defense was, hits Livesey over the middle, and good job holding on to that for Livesey. He got tackled real hard up around his shoulders there. So was able to hold on to the ball.
Handoff, Reynolds running right, nowhere to go. 2 Vikings were in there leading the charge, Ty Uhas.
Reynolds has had a couple little holes here, but seems like more often than not, good penetration by that defensive front for Central Catholic, and they've got some size. When you look at some of these guys coming on and off, Darren Smith, 6'2", 285, being replaced down there by number 62, Malik Harrell, 6 feet, 330 pounds. They got some real hog mollies.
Loss of 5 on that play brings up second down and 15. Play action now, a toss to the near side right on the misdirection. Reynolds out across the 20. He'll wiggle his way towards the first down flag. He needed 15. He picks up 14. And the Gators much more comfortable here on third and short.
Yeah, interesting little route there. You see him fake the handoff and then just sort of circle out from the backfield. They'll get a blocker out there in front and Jacob Santo. Good execution there, and that turns second and a long, long ways to go into just 3rd and 1.
And 1 for the Gators from the 22.
If you're the Gators, you really want to keep this drive going here. I mean, obviously, you're down 3-0. You want to put points on the board, but more than anything, you want to give your defense a break.
Yeah, regardless of how many guys are going both ways, talked about acting and reacting and the difference in the effort it takes as the Gators are going to go with the little shovel pass, and the pass is complete. Birch finds Malachi Moore, who drives his way out across the 35 to the 37-yard line. That's more than enough for a Gators first down on 3rd down and 1.
Yeah, great execution there. You see everyone's kind of fooled on that one. It looked like Birch was going to keep that one and flare out with a pitch on the option, but at the last moment he goes from pitching to the left hand to the right hand forward to Malachi Moore. Moore, good job there, putting his shoulder down, making a few guys miss, spinning around and getting some yards after the catch.
1st and 10 for Gateway with the ball spotted at the 38. Motion man Livesey from left to right. Play action. Toss, Reynolds of his own teammates and gets knocked down at the 40-yard line. Had he been able to sidestep whoever that was over there at the 40-yard line, he had a lot of room in front of him. And I think that was Derek Selby who ran into him, the tight end.
It was. You look, Selby finishes his block, and he tries to get off without holding, and in the process of doing that, he leaves his feet and ends up running into Reynolds and kind of kneecapped that play, which looked like it could have been a big gainer.
Well, Vince, we played 12 minutes of football thus far. Central Catholic 3, Gateway 0. But really what jumps off the page at you is the fact that Gateway has given the ball to Central Catholic inside of Gateway territory a couple of times today. And Central Catholic's only turned it into 3 points.
Yeah, credit to the Gators. They've bent but not broken twice now. As you limit to the field goal, and then on the goal line, goal-to-go possession, you're able to strip that ball away, and that's big.
Let's take a look at the standings in 6A. Just 5 teams in the 6A classification. North Allegheny undefeated. Central Catholic, they finished up their 6A play with a record of 2-2. Seneca Valley's 1-2, as are the Cannon Mac Big Macs and the Mount Lebanon Blue Devils. All those teams in 6A. And I already talked about the fact that Central Catholic has claimed at least one of those playoff spots in the 6A classification as the Gators go to the air on the first play in the second quarter. A quick pass as Birch finds Livesey to bring it up to a third and very manageable 2 from the 46-yard line.
Livesey proven to be reliable in the slot the last couple games, coming down with some big receptions. That's something we haven't seen the Gators do a lot this season. It seems like the passing game is either screen pass, deep shot, screen pass, deep shot. I like sprinkling in some more of these dink and dunk plays. Take what the defense gives you. Keep the chains moving.
Pistol, handoff, Reynolds. Can't find any room on the RPO there. And Reynolds just gets back to the line of scrimmage as he is stacked up. A bunch of blue jerseys there, including Matthew Petruzzi Jr., 6'2" linebacker, weighs in at 205 pounds. So 4th and 2, Gateway, offense on the field, but Birch stands way back. This may be a pooch punt, and that's exactly what it is. And not much to it, as it will bounce out of bounds at the 32-yard line. And yet again, it will be the Central Catholic Vikings starting with great field position this time at the 35, as it looked like it bounced out at the 32, but it crossed the boundary at the 35.
Yeah, Birch has been pretty darn good at those pooch punts over this season. We haven't seen him do a lot as of late. And usually you see him drift a little bit back further into the shotgun and gives himself a little more. It seemed like he sort of didn't quite follow through, kind of pulled up on that one a little bit. And so we saw that one sort of go up a little more than forward. And I think he would have liked to have gotten a little more on that one.
I really liked all your miming through that. You worked your way through it really well as the Vikings go to the air pass to the near side right. Intended for Sasek, incomplete, and that brings up 2nd down and 10.
Just trying to stay loose. As you see both these teams not afraid to throw the ball around. A little errant on that one is Wayner. But he's been solid here in this first quarter. Oftentimes looking for Gonzalez, who's been excellent this season for the Vikings.
Bunch on the right of the formation, and Gonzalez moves early. And Gonzalez talking to the near sideline as he gets whistled up. That's going to cost Central Catholic another 5. There's been a handful of those false starts against the Vikings.
Yeah, an alarming amount for this late in the season. Gonzalez, if you're complaining to the sidelines, if you're a receiver, you know, the limited little bit of high school football I did play was at the receiver position, and the number one thing they teach you is you look down the line, you don't move until the ball moves. Any movement as a receiver is on you.
Play action. Pass tipped, and it will fall to the turf, incomplete, as Matthew Brooks got his paws on it. He got his paws on a pass last week, and it led to a Gators touchdown.
Yeah, big 6. Nice play design. Birch rolls out, looking down to his right, pulls back, throws it to his left. They had a nice wall of blockers, and Brooks sort of bumbled his way. He showed actually a pretty good amount of speed following his blockers to the end zone, and you could tell that it was a design play to get the senior into the end zone, and a guy that really has been well-deserved of that sort of recognition.
Yeah, transferred into Gateway a couple of seasons ago as a sophomore, headed to an FCS-level program as that toss goes down that far sideline. The pass is incomplete. Livesey is on the coverage as the pass was intended for Gompers, and that will bring the punt unit out for the Vikings.
Boy, a good job there by Livesey. He didn't get his head around, which a lot of times spells disaster for DBs, but you'll notice he does a good job not making contact there. He goes up, gets himself in front of the receiver, but he does not make contact. So good call there on no PI. And the Gators defense, I mean, they're holding taut for the 2 turnovers and a short punt, having a bit of shorter fields to work with. 3 possessions, only 3 points given up. Solid effort thus far.
Very deep punt formation as Gonzalez will boot this one away. Wobbler. Caught, Livesey at the 40, the 45, the 50, where he'll be wrapped and brought down. A flag comes down late. I think Gateway may be guilty of an infraction here, as Ahmad Harris was in the vicinity of the flag.
And those are killer. Absolutely killer. You set yourself up with the ball at the 50-yard line. Now you're going to be marching that backwards on all likelihood. Super frustrating.
Legal block in the back against Gateway. And Ahmad Harris, the guilty party, pushes the Gators back 5 yards, or rather 15 yards. So instead of at the 50, this ball will be placed at the 32, as they say the infraction happens at the 37, or rather 47.
Yeah, so you lose yourself over 15 yards there for a Gators offense that's shown some spurts, but hasn't necessarily found that lightning in a bottle just yet.
Birch in the shotgun, sidecar to his left, trips to the right of the formation. Birch looking right, steps up into the pocket, tucks, runs across the 40, the 45. He's got more than enough for the first down out to the 48-yard line.
Excellent run there by Birch. And a late season non-conference game, you sort of wince a little bit as you see your primary offensive weapon sort of running across the open field like that through a mess of Vikings. But look at this, good elusiveness. Birch that's something I think he could go to a little bit more often and hasn't this year. And certainly you want him to stay healthy. You want him to make smart decisions with the ball in his hands. But I think he undersells himself as a runner.
Power pistol. And Reynolds and Birch not on the same page on the RPO. Birch had planned to pull that one out, and I think Reynolds squeezed it a bit too much. And with the ball hitting the turf, Birch has to cover it up at the 45, a loss of 3, 2nd and 13.
Yeah, real lucky that he was able to have that split-second decision-making there to get on that one before Matthew Petruzzi Jr. did, because they both were sort of the same distance, about a yard away from that ball, and Birch, give him credit, he got down quicker.
Birch in the shotgun. Play action. Steps up into the pocket. Gets hit as he crosses the line of scrimmage.
Yes!
Who has the football? Central Catholic does. Fumble recovery by Matthew Petruzzi Jr. And for the 3rd time today, Birch turns the football over.
Yeah. I mean, you can't, the more you do that, the more often you're going to lose it. Simple math. And Birch won the last one against Petruzzi. This time Petruzzi comes away with it. And now for the 3rd time in 4 drives, you got Central Catholic taking over in Gators territory.
Harrell punched the ball loose for Central Catholic before it was covered up by the Vikings' Petruzzi. Vikings for the 3rd time today with the ball inside of Gators territory after a Gateway turnover, and Central Catholic goes to the ground. Amari Shields on the carry is brought down after a gain of 3 inside of the 45 to the 43.
We got some out-of-town scores, Adam.
Out of town or away from Dormont?
Away from Dormont.
All right.
Upper St. Clair up 14-0 on South Fayette to start. Bethel Park leading 7-0 after a takeaway against Peters Township, and then potential anarchy brewing. Woodland Hills up 7-0 on Penn Hills.
Well, those games really, it doesn't matter what the records are or what the teams look like year in and year out. You know, it like you said, can be anarchy between Penn Hills and Woodland Hills, dating all the way back to when Woodland Hills was founded in 1987 through last season. You know, two teams that, you know, they're going to go after each other each and every play. That rivalry, it has been something special over the years. To the ground go the Vikings. Amari Shields is brought down. Nowhere to go. Two Gators in there, Demetrius Harper and Matthew Brooks.
This Gators defense is just playing unconscious right now. I mean, you see Harper and Brooks just knifing through as if they weren't even blocked. Missed assignments there for Central Catholic, and now they've got to make some decisions here. You're kind of in that 4-down territory, and my goodness, with how well Central Catholic's defense has been playing, you kind of dare the Gators if you don't get it here to go 60 yards.
4th down and 3 for Central Catholic. Peyton Wayner in the shotgun. Cy Carter settles to his left and Shields. Play action. Looking right, throwing right. Pass, caught. Pulling that one in along the sideline. Cole Sullivan takes one more step before stepping out of bounds, and it's 1st down for Central Catholic inside of the 20.
Harper has been solid all season, but I think he just lost sight of Sullivan there and thought he was going to be able to undercut that one and go up and high point that ball. A nice touch there from Wayner to get that over top of Harper. Sullivan runs a really nice route. Now a fresh set of downs deep in Gators territory.
Wayner pumps, tosses, wide open for a Central Catholic touchdown is Cole Sullivan. The Gators bit on the hitch, and there went Sullivan.
The Central Catholic touchdown.
So Central Catholic turns that Gateway turnover into 6 points after the first Gators turnover turned into 3 for the Vikings. The Gators did dodge the proverbial bullet on turnover number 2 as they took the ball away from the Vikings inside of the 5 at the 1. And of course, that takeaway by Gateway led to a drive that got out near midfield before the turnover. The third of the game by Birch, and this time that cost Gateway 7 points in total as Cole Sullivan with the TD and the PAT up and in for Billy Lech.
I mean, this one has the opportunity at this point to be a laugher. The Gators defense has held up really well. Got caught there with their hands in the cookie jar on a couple pass plays, consecutive order to Sullivan there, but you know, the offense has got to do their part here. You know, they got to keep this defense off the field. They've been on the field for the majority of the game. Already 4 long possessions offensively for Central Catholic. They're in a rhythm. It's time for the Gators. Go down, get some points here, make this a 1-score game again. And more than anything, let your defense have some time on the sidelines to coach up, talk things through, make some adjustments. And more than anything, get a little bit of rest.
We looked forward to the playoffs. Now let's take a look back in the rearview mirror as we take a look at the Gateway Gators schedule from this season. Started the season with a victory against Mount Lebanon. Followed that up with a victory against Woodland Hills in non-conference action. 3 straight non-conference games. They traveled to North Hills and won the game on a last-minute field goal. Then a loss on the road at Franklin Regional in conference before defeating Plum and Hempfield as well as Penn Trafford. 3 straight conference wins. Followed up by a very, very difficult loss on the road at McKeesport before wrapping up conference play last week with the win against Norwin as that kickoff bounces out of bounds, and Gateway will be set up in good field position at the 35.
It's certainly been an interesting regular season for the Gators. I mean, they've won all the games that they're supposed to. They won a physical, emotional battle, caught some revenge against Penn Trafford. You had the opening season win over Mount Lebanon that felt very meaningful. They've also had a couple performances where they've really struggled against teams that run the ball really, really well. And that's Franklin Regional and McKeesport. And certainly no bad losses for the Gators, but you know they'd like to get another real quality win here heading into that bracketology tomorrow as by this time tomorrow, we'll know who the Gators will be playing in the first round.
To the ground go the Gators. As Jaquan Reynolds will carry the football out towards the 40-yard line, where the tackle is made by Uhas and Specca.
Worth noting, Franklin Regional Penn Trafford, as they often like to do out there in Harrison, they kicked off at 7:30, so we're going to be a little delayed in getting some updates from out there as that game just getting rolling.
From the 38.
Big East implications.
Toss to that right-hand side, complete. Harper, Gateway first down.
To Dallas Harper.
Like that short passing game. Good timing route there. Harper, sure-handed. Good job coming back to the ball, then knowing where the sticks are, getting to that lead stick.
First and 10 Gateway from their own 40.
So first and 10 for the Gators. Ball at the 48. 6:22 to go here at Dormont Stadium in quarter number 2. Toss to the right. Blockers in front of Reynolds. Inside of the 40. Out of bounds near the 30-yard line.
Pass complete to Reynolds.
So the screen to the right works to perfection for Gateway.
Forced out by
And it'll be
Xavier
first and 10 at the 31.
They've moved the ball well with these short passes, and then good job setting up blockers downfield once again. Biggest thing is, can you hold on to the football? It's been fumbles thus far that's plagued the Gators.
From the Vikings 31.
Pitch to the right to Reynolds from Birch. Reynolds, lots of room, 30, or rather to the 20 and inside towards the 15, where he'll be brought down at around the 13-yard line.
Tripped up by Gavin Stanek.
And it'll be first and 10 for Gateway inside of the 15 at the 13.
First and 10 Gators.
Well executed. Reynolds always sneaks up on people. He's quicker than he looks. Good job there. Birch held on to that one at the very last minute and was able to really free up some space for Reynolds.
Handoff up the gut. Reynolds, lots of room inside of the 5. He's brought down near the 4-yard line.
Down by Gavin Stanek.
The official on the far sideline stopping the clock. Not enough for the first down after they spot the ball. And the clock should start winding again. And it will.
Second down and 1 from the 4.
Birch claps his hands, runs the option left. Cuts it back right, lost the football. Picks it up, retreats, now falls down. As 2 Vikings were down around his ankles. Elijah Faulkner brings him down.
Boy, I don't know what's happening, Adam, but you got to hang on to the ball. At this point in the game, you got to really you got to have more awareness than this. You just do. I mean, you put the ball on the turf as a team now 3 times. You throw in an interception. You got to come away with points here. And now you take 2nd and 1 and turn it into 3rd and 11. You're giving yourself a lot more room for error. You're going to have to throw the ball. Got to be careful to try to fit it into a tight window here down deep in enemy territory.
Motion man is Harper. Play action. Toss across the middle, caught. Malachi Moore bounces off of one Viking and across the goal line before being hit by the second. And the Gateway touchdown cuts the Vikings lead down to 4.
Great pass there. That's, what you gotta do if you're the Gators. Keep working this intermediate passing game, and a nice route there by Moore. Finds the soft spot there in the defense and able to muscle his way in at the end.
Lots of time there for Birch, which is a good sign as well, as the snap a little high, but the hold is down and that kick by Plaskin is up and in. And the Gators answer back after the turnover by Birch leads to Central Catholic points. The Gators take the ball 65 yards and cap it off on the pass to Malachi Moore.
Relatively quickly, too. They moved at a pretty good pace there. Every play, other than the fumble by Birch, which he recovered this time, was good chunk plays. So, I mean, they've moved the ball well against Central Catholic tonight. If they can maintain possession, hold on to the ball a little bit longer, avoid the turnovers, still, for as poor as this game has gone offensively for the Gators thus far through a quarter and a half, you're down 3 points with a chance to get another stop defensively and potentially get the ball back, try and get a go-ahead score before the half.
Great strides are being made in recent research and treatment, but we aren't there yet.
Worth noting, Penn Trafford is on the board against Franklin Regional. Took it down. Conlon Green, the quarterback, stuffed it in. And then Bethel Park has now opened up a 13-0 lead. So the Allegheny 6 looking like it's shaking itself out, with Upper St. Clair and Bethel Park up multiple scores. And no, nothing out of North Hills and Pine Richland thus far.
Don't forget a little bit of note for Gateway fans. If Penn Trafford does beat Franklin Regional, while Franklin Regional will come home with the #1 seed out of the Big East Conference, the Gateway Gators will take home a share of the conference crown.
It's always very meaningful. You know, last year they got denied that by Penn Trafford, who went unblemished and went on to win the state in conference play. I should say, did lose during the regular season, but swept the Big East. And so, you know, for the Gators and what has been an impressive season thus far, you kind of hope that Penn Trafford able to hang on to that lead, because always special to be a part of a team that can say that they won a section championship, even if you have to share it.
1st and 10 for Central Catholic at the 31-yard line. Play action, toss to the right-hand side, and the pass goes awry, intended for Gonzalez. Some contact there by Kenny Lewis, but that pass was nowhere near Gonzalez. And I could see maybe if this is defensive holding, but if this is defensive pass interference, that is a strange, strange call, and that's what it will be.
And I get that, Adam. I certainly do. I think, you know, the big thing is Lewis had both hands on and kept them there for at least 5 yards down the field. And was that ball overthrown? Is it a call that you could justify maybe not throwing the flag on? But by the letter of the law, you know, Lewis really doesn't have any ground to stand on there to kind of dispute that one.
Especially when he's making contact while the ball's in the air. Toss near side right, complete to a Central Catholic assistant coach. And that incompletion brings up 2nd down and 10 at the 44-yard line, or rather the 46-yard line for the Vikings.
2nd and 10 for the Vikings from the 46.
For our Central Catholic fans that might be tuned in, Seneca Valley up 7-0 on North Allegheny. As much as the 5A picture is murky, 6A is even more confusing.
Wayner off of play action, has some time, now steps up into the pocket, wrapped and sacked by Matthew Brooks.
Backfield at 55. Matthew Brooks.
Well, he's just so hard to contain. Take a look here. Just puts the head down and got himself into the backfield. And as soon as Wayner stepped up in the pocket, Brooks was ready there. Nice play.
3rd and a dozen for the Vikings. Pistol formation. Now they'll settle in the shotgun. And Shields is next to Wayner. Wayner across the middle, complete to Gonzalez. Gonzalez gets hit shy of the 1st down marker. Nice open field tackle by Ahmad Harris, the junior.
Well, once again, you got a 4th and short opportunity here. It does look like the punt team's going to come out, though. So thought they might try to go for it again there. They converted on the last 4th and short, but Ahmad Harris able to get this defense off the field, give the Gators a chance to get their first lead in this one.
Well, that last time it was 4th and less than a yard. This time it's just about 2 full yards. I don't think you're going to get that same surge.
Well, you're back about 5 or so yards further than you were the last time.
Fake punt as the snap will go to one Viking and then hand off to another as Sasic will run to the left-hand side, and Jacob Sasic will finally be forced down inside of the 14 at around the 13-yard line. So a well-designed fake punt for Central Catholic.
That was well-designed, and Adam got Demetrius Harper down on the far sidelines. That's not a good look for the Gators. That's a guy you desperately want to have firing on all cylinders, not only tonight, but moving forward into next week. He's been so good as an edge rusher. A couple interceptions against Hempfield earlier this season. He looks to be on a good bit of pain.
So Peyton Wayner took the direct snap. I believe that is who did take that direct snap. And then the handoff went to Jacob Sasic, and he ran from right to left all the way down inside of the 15. And ball will actually be spotted. Originally it was at the 13, now at the 12. As Harper still being tended to by the Gateway athletic trainer. So 3:01 to play here in the 2nd quarter. Central Catholic looks to answer the Gators answer. Gateway started the game with the football, turned it over. Central Catholic turned it into 3. Another turnover by Gateway led to a drive all the way down to the 1-yard line before the Gators took it away from the Vikings. Gateway was moving the ball forward, ended up turning it over, and that led to points for Central Catholic. Central Catholic stepped out 10-0. The Gators answered right back, making it 10-7. That's where we stand right now as we look towards the Central Catholic Vikings schedule here in 2022. Started out the season against the St. Edward Eagles, team out of Ohio, before taking on the
Demetrius Harper was the injured
Abraham Lincoln Rail Splitters in Philadelphia.
That's a cool name.
And on the road at Bethel Park, a team in 5A, before defeating Mount Lebanon,
First and 10 Vikings.
a mutual opponent between these two teams. Then North Allegheny, one of the losses in 6A for Central Catholic. So Harper off to the sideline as the Vikings return to the field, and they'll go to the ground. Amari Shields, the ball carrier.
Shields with a 10-yard touchdown last week in a narrow win over Seneca Valley. Someone that they trust as just a sophomore, but getting some quality carries here late in the season.
Pistol formation, Wayner, play action, rolls right. Tosses to the near corner and well out of bounds. That one will carry to West Liberty Avenue, incomplete.
Well, if that catches the hill, that's going to roll a long ways. Good luck getting that back. But, I mean, you look here, Ricariel gets loose. You see him charging towards Wayner, and he knew he had to get rid of that one or else he was going to get popped. So good decision there to just sort of live for another down, throw that one away.
Central Catholic students and their other young fans prepared for bedtime, as apparently their theme for tonight, pajamas. On a cool night, some warm thermal pajamas doesn't sound like the worst idea.
Yeah, some of those insulated slippers. Heck yeah.
Should have worn yours.
Oh.
Though you couldn't have worn them on the tee for your ride up here.
No, I don't want to get them dirty.
Another false start against Central Catholic's going to push them back 5 yards. But there have been quite a few of those against the home Vikings.
And in critical junctures, too. I mean, we saw the 1st and goal from the 1 push them back to the 6. Then they have to carry it up the gut. Different play design. Ball gets stripped loose in open space. Now, once again, on a 3rd and 7, you're at 3rd and 12.
3rd and 12 for the Vikings.
You've got to get the ball to the 2. So you really got to try and get this one in the end zone to get 6, or else you're going to have to settle for a field goal try.
2 receivers right, 1 to the far side left. Wayner throws it across the middle, and a Gator, a Viking, and the football all meet at the same place at the same time. Gompers and Leonard Sherrod with the impact.
Boy, was that scary. You hate to see that. I mean, both guys not even aware of each other, both playing for the ball there. My goodness, what a massive collision. And Sherrod, that's not good. Take a hit up around the head. He's still down.
And that was in, the sternum. Obviously the head is a concern, but the way he's, kind of writhing around, that can be a circumstance where it can be a shoulder, it can be a stinger, it can be, a stinger to the sternum, which can really knock the wind out of you, which is certainly nothing fun. Just a beautiful evening here in southwestern Pennsylvania for tonight's interclassification football game. Clear skies, 50 degrees, not too damp, which makes things pretty comfortable, even though it is around that 50 mark. Light winds this evening, and the sun set well before kickoff here in the South Hills of Pittsburgh in Dormont. Dormont Memorial Stadium, home of the Keystone Oaks Eagles, amongst others. As this stadium is regularly rented by Catholic schools, both in the city, obviously, with the Central Catholic Vikings, and in the South Hills, notably Seton LaSalle and Bishop Canavan.
You see Sherrod running off without any help there, rolls out, you would hope concussion or anything of that sort. So hopefully he just got the wind knocked out of him there and will return to the game.
Talked about this before. Sometimes it hurts worse to get hurt than when you get injured. Central Catholic to attempt their second field goal of the game. This one a 31-yarder as that kick is up, and that kick is no good. And Central Catholic not able to turn that drive into points as Billy Letch's kick carries wide. And Gateway will get the football with 2:17 to play here, and an explosive offense that we saw move the ball very quickly on their previous drive. Let's see what they can do here as they get the ball back.
If they can keep from putting it on the turf, they can do some special things, and you just get the feeling, Adam, that no matter what happens on this drive, other than giving points to Central Catholic, the Gators played with a lot of fire here in the first half, and to find themselves with the ball and a chance to potentially go into the half tied or with the lead seems almost unfathomable for how poorly for most of this game the offense has played. But give credit to the defense and give a little kudos to Central Catholic for a lot of pre-snap penalties.
1st and 10. As Reynolds will motion to an empty set. Birch had the ball fall out of his hands again. Now rolls to his left after picking it up, throws it down the field, and it will be incomplete. Leaping up, hands on the football, was Gavin Stanek, but he couldn't bring it in.
Birch's pass incomplete, broken up by Gavin Stanek.
Boy, that is the epitome of this offense in the first half, just playing with fire. First of all, you have Birch put the ball on the ground for what I believe is the 4th or 5th time here in the first half. He's able to pick it up and then just sort of fires off a Hail Mary from deep in his own territory that should have been picked off. My goodness, the Gators are daring Central Catholic to take this game and run with it.
Maybe we need to see Bradley 2 gloves like Kenny 2 gloves. Get a glove on that throwing hand as the handoff, the run by Birch. The pitch goes forward. It's covered up by Gateway. Will flags fly, or will they say it's a lateral? No, the flags are down. So Birch, who ran left, had Derek Selby running over here on this near left side as well, and a forward pitch downfield. It's going to cost Gateway the majority of that game as the officials are talking things over here. And we'll see what our referee has to say. So an illegal forward pass against Gateway. Loss of down, and they'll push him back.
Well, now you get into the territory where if you can't pick up a first down, you're either going to have, if you don't get the first down and you have either an incompletion or a chance for Central Catholic, who still has all 3 of its timeouts. Neither team has taken a timeout. Now you give Central Catholic a chance to get the punt return unit on and a chance to get points for them.
Play action. Birch tosses. Reynolds can't hang on to it. Quite frankly, that worked out for Gateway, because if he catches that one, he may get hit and the ball comes loose and Central Catholic gets it deep inside of Gateway territory. Instead, it'll bring up 4th down.
Yeah, the Vikings had that one completely sniffed out. Sullivan coming in and making matters even worse, laying the boom. Just an open shot there on Jaquan Reynolds, and now you're forced to punt, and still a lot of time. Gators didn't even take a full minute off the clock there, only about 30-ish seconds, and now they give the ball right back to Central Catholic, whose return men will have their heels barely in their own territory. Gators going to have to hunker down once again to keep this a 1-score game going into the half.
So Cole Plaskin with the true punt formation for Gateway. Gets away a wobbling punt that takes a bounce in favor of Gateway, but will be returned by Xavier Thomas, and Thomas will dive his way inside of the 45 towards the 40-yard line, where the tackle is made by Donovan Biggs, the Gateway junior.
And Thomas, a good job there catching it on the bounce. A little risky there, but he's able to make a quick move, get to the right, get behind a couple blockers. That extra 10, 15 yards when you have 93 seconds left and all 3 timeouts just opens up so much more of the playbook. Now Central Catholic can really take their time here. They've got all 3 of those timeouts. They can run the ball, pass the ball. they've got a chance to be real unpredictable here with this 93-second drill.
Wayner, straight drop back. Down the middle. One-handed catch by Gonzalez inside the 5. Brought down at around the 3-yard line by Harper.
I thought that was going to be overthrown, and you see Gonzalez just stretch enough to come down with that one. I mean, take another look. Nice ball there. Looked like it sailed just a little bit. And excellent grab there by Gonzalez, who just got left uncovered between two different DBs there. Found the soft spot, and there wasn't anyone within 5-10 yards of him when he caught that one.
So the clock is now winding towards 1 minute to go here in quarter number 2. First and goal for Central Catholic with the ball at the 4. Handoff, tailback runs right, gets towards the goal line, but Faulkner will be brought down. Remy Bowes on the tackle for Gateway.
And if you're Central Catholic, you're not necessarily upset about that because you kind of want that clock to run down as much as possible before you score here, assuming that you're able to score, which can't make any assumptions at this point with how incredibly well this Gators defense has played in red zone defense, forcing a couple field goal attempts.
Plus a turnover.
And the turnover.
Pistol formation. Faulkner nowhere to go over that left side. There were Gators there to make the stop. Involved in the tackle for Gateway. Amari Gans amongst others.
And now time becomes a little bit of a factor. You got 2 plays left. Timeout taken there by Central Catholic. Luckily, both teams have done a good job clock management, keeping those timeouts in the back pocket.
Don't forget, coming up at halftime, we'll see the Gateway Marching Band with their halftime performance. And we will also have the Trib Live High School Sports Network halftime show. Chris Harlan and Don Rebel, your hosts week in, week out of our halftime coverage. Of course, we will have coverage of Gateway's first round playoff game next week. And hopefully we will have it at a venue that has internet service, which would be fantastic.
Well, there's a lot to sort out, Adam. I mean, it looks like Bethel Park and Upper St. Clair, who both have double-digit leads, are well on their way. Upper St. Clair up 28-0. But we're at the half. Woodland Hills pitching a shutout, up 7-0 on Penn Hills, and Franklin Regional scored, so that game deadlocked after 1 quarter. Franklin Regional, or rather Penn Trafford, playing for their playoff lives.
So the Vikings settle in the pistol with Faulkner behind Wayner. Handoff, Faulkner drives towards the goal line, and he is in for a Vikings TD. And to add injury to insult, Darren Fowler is slow to get to his feet, but the good news is he's able to get to his feet and will stay in the game here on this field goal block situation on the extra point.
Tough to keep asking your defense to come up with those stops in goal-to-go situations.
This kick up and good. Billy Letch. And Central Catholic has again gathered together a 10-point advantage on the Gateway Gators. It was 10-0 before Gateway scored. Now 17-7 as we approach halftime.
And if you're the Gators, you just hope that you can figure out what the heck is going on with this ball getting loose out on the turf. I mean, if the Gators take care of this ball and are able to continue to put a couple drives together, they're in this one, they're leading this one, but at the same time, you know, you are what the score says, and this defense has kept the Gators in it, but the offense is going to have to really do some evaluating and some adjusting here at the half, keep this one competitive. But don't count out Harper here. He's had a couple nice returns early in this one.
I think this is a situation, if you are the kicker, Rowan Cotter for Central Catholic, keep it away from him at this point.
Oh, absolutely.
Lewis and
I'd rather give Gateway the ball at the 35 than put it in his hands at the 15.
Connor to kick off for the Vikings.
And this one will be nubbed, caught by Kenny Lewis at the 20, to the 30, to the 40, and he will be brought down at around the 43-yard line. And with 3 seconds to go here, do the Gators take a knee or do they take one shot to the end zone?
Boy, I would normally say no question, just try and hit Harper over the top. You know, that's a guy that can go up and wrestle the ball away from anyone and drag people to the end zone. But every time the Gators have tried to go deep tonight, Birch has lost the football. And so you have to take that into account. Last thing you want is a fumble recovery going the other way as you're trying to get into the locker room. So, I mean, I think you take a shot here, but boy, you got to be careful.
Trips left, 2 receivers right, empty set for Birch. Birch tosses, Harper. So they'll put the ball in his hands, see what he can do. Spinning away from tacklers and will be knocked down on the stat sheet stuffer at the 45-yard line, and that will be the final play of half number 1, and the Central Catholic Vikings take a 10-point lead into the locker room.
Gavin Stanek with a big hit there to end that one on Harper. Luckily, he's all right, but physical first half.
And Vince, really the story of the game is the fact Gateway can't hold on to the football, most especially Brad Birch.
My goodness, I mean, there's really just no explanation for it. I mean, 2 times just getting the yips and having it fall out of his hands. A couple other times, bad pitches, pitching the ball forward. They just look disjointed offensively at certain points. And so the short passing game has been there, but the running game, in essence, has really not. And so they're going to have to evaluate and look at things and, more than anything, just figure out how the heck to hang on to the football. It's really hard to break it down X's and O's wise. I mean, you just got to hang on to the ball.
Gateway's defense has looked spectacular through first 24 minutes of football. And when you look at the score, 17 points allowed, but the fact that Central Catholic got the ball deep inside of Gateway territory so many times, it's not really that bad.
I mean, if my math is correct, they've had at least 4 red zone drives and only come up with 1 touchdown out. They had the longer touchdown to end the first scoring drive, but all in all, you forced a turnover, you forced 2 field goal attempts, one of which was missed, and so they're doing their part. They've kept this a competitive game, and if you're the Gators offense, with how you've played throughout this season and what we saw on that 1 scoring drive where they were able to really get a bunch of big chunk plays, 10 points is possible. You're still in this game, but you've got to help your defense out. You got to keep them off the field, allow them to stay fresh, and you've got to get some more going offensively, obviously.
Well, stay tuned. Enjoy the Gateway Marching Band's performance, and then we will return with the Trib Live High School Sports Network halftime show, and then Vince and I will come back and get you set for half number 2. Talk to you in about 20 minutes. For Vince Rousseau, I'm Adam Gusky. We'll talk to you then.
What time? So what time do you go to the hotel? 4:30. I didn't know he's done around noon.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the field the 2022 Gateway High School Marching Band. Tonight the band will be performing 2 of their spooky season favorites, Thriller and the Ghostbusters theme. The band will conclude tonight's performance with the Gateway Fight Song. And now the Gateway Music Department is proud to present drum majors Riley McDonough, Brandon Baker, Landon Moore, and the Gateway High School Marching Band. McMasters, Jamie Cotter, Ryan Moser, David Berno, Deb Cosley, and Kelly McMasters Parsons. Music arrangements and drill design were done by Chad Heine. The band recently competed in the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Marching Band Association's championship competition and finished second in Class AAA. The band would like to thank the Gateway community for your continued support of the arts and education.
Halftime show, week 9 edition on the Trib Live High School Sports Network. 2 quarters of football left in the regular season, and then for some, unfortunately, the season will come to an end. For others, it's getting ready for the WPIAL playoffs and November football. Chris Harlan joins me as we run down all 6 classifications. I think everybody's familiar now with a lot of the scenarios. We will have these ironed out in the scoreboard show coming up a little bit later on the network. So Allegheny and Central Catholic are in. The winner of Cannon McMillan Mount Lebanon is in. Seneca Valley controls their own destiny. If they beat North Allegheny, they are in. If Seneca Valley loses, then that opens the door for scenarios and the Abacus.
Yeah, good job by the schedule makers. We basically had 2 play-in games back-to-back. Last week, Central Catholic, Seneca Valley. This week, Lebo, Cannon Mac. So put some drama into the 6A playoff race down the stretch.
Indeed. 5A in the Big East Conference, 2 representatives in, Franklin Regional and Gateway. The Northeast Conference has nobody that has clinched. The winner of the North Hills Pine Richland game is in. If Penn Hills beats Woodland Hills, they are in this evening. In the Allegheny 6, Bethel Park is in Upper St. Clair. If they win, they are also playoff bound. And then, of course, you have the 2 wild cards. Again, depending on what happens in some of these head-to-head games going on as we speak, will either make it a little easier to figure out the wild card or a little tenuous. In fact, there's a scenario where it could come down to the committee tomorrow determining the second wild card.
Yeah, that is. People are going to be worrying about that one for sure. One, to me, I think I'm keeping an eye on Penn Trafford. I think it's interesting, the defending state champions, and they're in jeopardy here. I mean, they're trying to chase down probably one of those wild cards is what they're looking at. But my math I had done, I think there were 54 WPIAL teams that won a state championship since the state playoffs started. Only 8 of them failed to make the WPIAL playoffs the next year. Penn Trafford, trying not to be number 9 to not make the playoffs the year after winning a state title.
Yeah, and Mount Lebanon trying not to be number 10 up in 6.
They are. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Penn Trafford would have to get in via a wild card, but they have to win.
Right.
Franklin Regional this evening. All right. Parkway Conference, as we go down to 4A now. Aliquippa, Central Valley, West Allegheny, Montour, Blackhawk are in. They get 5 teams because of the size of the conference. Chris enjoying the big showdown, Central Valley and Aliquippa tonight at Freedom. The Big 8 Conference has its 4 teams set, the order being determined in large part by that McKeesport-Thomas Jefferson game. McKeesport, TJ, Laurel, Highlands, Latrobe all in. Armstrong and Highlands are in, 2 spots up for grabs in the Greater Allegheny Conference. Big one tonight. North Catholic visiting Mars. Hampton in control of their own destiny, but going up against a very good Highlands team.
Yeah, to me, that Mars North Catholic game is interesting because you got Eric Kasparovich on the Mars side trying to build a program first year there, what that would mean to make the playoffs for them. On North Catholic side, you've got Coach Pat O'Shea. He's been there 6 years, has won a bunch of games, and has said this is going to be his last season. He was planning to resign, so a lot going on. You got 2 teams that really want to win and continue their season for much different reasons.
Yeah, good point. All right, 3A Western Hills Conference. 3 teams set. Avonworth, West Mifflin, and South Park is in. No scenario keeps the Eagles out as they battle West Mifflin tonight. So basically comes down to the winner of the Hopewell Beaver game getting into the postseason from the Western Hills Conference. Allegheny Conference, 4 teams set, ordered to be determined tonight. Freeport, Shadyside Academy, East Allegheny, Deer Lake. Same situation in the interstate with Elizabeth Forward, Bell Vernon, Southmoreland, and Mount Pleasant.
Yeah, you mentioned that Hopewell Beaver game. Hopewell's had some down years. Them right on the cusp there. I know that would mean for them to try to get in, but also with Beaver, that's a good rivalry. 2 Beaver County schools. See what they can do.
All right, to 2A now. This is a scenario where 14 teams get in. 5 from the Allegheny Conference, 5 from the Midwestern Athletic Conference, 4 from the Century. And pretty much the field is set. 1 team remaining up in the air in the Allegheny Conference. Steel Valley is in, Sarah Catholic in, Ligonier Valley in, Burrow is in. If Apollo Ridge beats Burrow tonight, they are in. If not, it opens the door for Imani Christian to qualify. In the Midwestern Athletic Conference, Beaver Falls, Neshannock, Mohawk, great story that you've touched on our website, Chris. Western Beaver and Riverside. And in the Century Conference, Still Rocks, Keystone Oaks, Washington, and McGuffin.
Yeah, I think the Mohawk's an interesting story. Everybody knows how the year started with the hazing allegations and the turmoil that program was in to see Coach Tim McCutcheon and his staff kind of get that Mohawk program together and clinch a playoff spot last week and then this week try to maybe play for second in the conference. Tough start to a season, but to be able to hold a team together and get to the end, that says a lot about the kids and the coaches in that program.
Yeah, indeed. All right, finally, Class A, the biggest of the tournament field, 16, so 4 from all 4 conferences make it. This is sort of old school. Big 7 conference, 4 teams are set. Laurel, Southside, Union, and Rochester. Eastern Conference, those 4 are set. Greensburg, Central Catholic, Leechburg, Clairton, and Jeanette. Black Hills Conference, 3 of the 4 in. Bishop Canevin, Burgettstown, Fort Cherry. Our Lady of the Sacred Heart went to the finals last year. They've been pretty much near the top of the rankings all year, but they're not in yet. It comes down to pretty much the winner of the Osh-Cornell game getting into the postseason. And Tri-County South, Mapletown, great story with the Maples, Monessen, California, and Carmichaels.
Yeah, I was talking to Donnie Militzer, Olsh's coach, after their loss to Bishop Canevin last week, and he was kind of shaking his head about that. He said, "You imagine a 7-2 team going into the last week of the season, and they've got to win to make the playoffs." But that's the way that Black Hills Conference is shaking out this year, with them and Cornell and the winners in.
Nehemiah Z missed that Bishop Canevin game. Obviously, they need him against a pretty good Cornell team just to, again, qualify for the postseason. We will have the playoff brackets unveiling show tomorrow at 2 p.m. But to find out who's going to be part of the brackets unveiling show, don't forget after the game that you are listening to or watching, check out the scoreboard show from 9:30 until midnight, tribhssn.triblive.com. We will have all the qualifiers, including those nasty wild cards in Class 5. I can't complain because that's the only class with wild cards, so it might be the only class where we need to bring out this bad boy. Thanks to Chris Harlan. Enjoy the second half of the game you're listening to here on the Trib Live High School Sports Network.
Well, I attend and study English with Carly. I'd like to thank our parents, Mr. Wilson, the band parents, and her friends for giving her a lifetime of time.
I was looking familiar, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together.
And we would also like to extend our congratulations and best wishes to all the Gateway cheerleaders and band seniors and their families. Once again, let's have a nice round of applause for the senior members of the Viking Marching Band from Central Catholic and Local Class of 2023.
But it's okay. It's okay. drive what, next year? Yeah. Any other kids out there? We're recruiting. No, I mean, they're coming in already. How's he get home from Friday?
We have actually another kid that's our new.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. So we have another couple that we transfer off. Oh, it's nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice meeting you.
I'll be around. Joe, okay.
You're Aaron?
Yeah. So one of my best friends is Justin Capone. You know Justin? So Justin and I work together. We play together. We play football together. He's my roommate. He's moving back here. His kids are younger, but he has 2 girls and 2 boys. And he's going to move back to Pittsburgh.
Where is he going?
He's in State College. He's still up in Penn State. But he's moving back, and his boys are going to say his girls are going to
No, I heard good things about you some girls.
Oh, thank you.
Early on, no. Yeah, he's very soon to be the partner.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I have 3 sons.
Oh, did that? Nice. What years were that?
2 and 5 and 6. 2 state champions.
Oh, wow. Oh, so they're good. They're young. Yeah, so I graduated 96 from West Side. 2000. Do they have how many state championships?
Well, they had 2 while they were there.
Oh, wow.
I wouldn't do one.
Okay.
Yeah,
I went to Los Angeles. Little practice. Yeah. I went to Los Angeles. Oh, yeah. I don't know. But yeah. So no. We'll be there tomorrow. Yeah, the Penn State game. I was hoping I thought for sure the game would be at 1:30, but I don't know.
Okay, I was gonna say you're thinking
That's why you played it. I mean, you play the game, you play the game. I don't We'll see. You gotta help. Permanent health. There's one down south.
Oh, yeah.
Minnesota 5. There's some Oh, did you go there? Oh, you went there? I didn't know that. Oh, wow. Okay. I was in a, that was one of my two schools. Notre Dame. No, they don't have their football.
I did it once, and I'm like, yeah. I need that $40 little tiny.
Fans, we have tonight's winning 50-50 on the green ticket for $477 to 74754. Once again, that number 274754. Come to the press box if you have the winning ticket.
And we wish you a pleasant good evening here in Dormont, Pennsylvania, as the Gateway Gators take on the Central Catholic Vikings. It's halftime, and the Gators trail the Vikings 17-7. And it was a story of the ball on the ground for the Gateway Gators through the first 24 minutes of action. Can't tell you how many times that we saw Brad Birch put the ball down on the turf, and that was compounded by the fact that he also threw an interception and nearly threw another.
Yeah, and we used the term in the first half, but it almost feels like he's got the yips. Like, just not being able to come down with that ball. 2 of the 3 deep attempts, he lost the ball. And even the third time he threw the ball deep was after he lost it, corralled it, threw it. That one should have been intercepted, went through the hands of a defensive back for Central Catholic. And so, for both of these teams offensively, a pretty sloppy first half. But Central Catholic minimized their mistakes, hit on some long passes, took better care of the football. But they did have a lot of procedural penalties.
They sure did. Tons of penalties before the snap. False starts abundant, some illegal shifts, and it was a rough go of it, and I'm sure that's something Terry Totten addressed at halftime.
And even on defense, they jumped on a 4th and short that gave Gateway new life on a drive that they weren't able to punctuate, but it still kept that offense on the field. So both of these teams searching for a little more consistency in the second half, and I think with how poorly some of this game has been played, you'll probably see the starters stay in. I'm sure the coaches aren't super happy on either side with how this game has been played thus far.
And you've got to weigh whether it's an issue of, do you want to avoid injury, or do you want to have players fresh and ready for the playoffs? For the 6A playoffs for Central Catholic, and for the 5A playoffs for the Gateway Gators, as that kick by Cole Plaskin goes short, and it is scooped up by a Viking over there on the far sideline. He will be wrestled down. As on the return, it was Gompers and a couple of Gators involved in the stop.
So we kept our eyes on the scoreboard at the half. Quick for Central Catholic. Mount Lebanon and North Allegheny are now both leading. If that holds, Central Catholic would be the 3 seed. On the other side, we finally have a score that Pine Richland is up 13-0 on North Hill. Certainly not super surprising, but all stuff to keep an eye on as we head towards the bracket release.
Toss across the middle. That pass is complete. The ball is punched loose by a Gateway Gator. Turnover by Central Catholic. Scooped up by a Gator in Leonard Sherrod. Sherrod finally wrestled down. A flag came in after the takeaway.
Yeah, that's going to be a blindside block on Ricari L on the return, so that's going to march some of these yards off. And the Gators have had a few self-inflicted wounds on the special teams or on turnovers where they've had some blocks that have pulled things back for them. They had a block in the back on a Chris Livesey punt return that would have set them up at the 50-yard line, backed them up all the way back to the 32-yard line.
So they'll call it an illegal block in the back against Gateway, and the flag was thrown at the 46-yard line. So that'll push the ball back into Gators territory. And the block in the back, a 10-yarder. And it'll be 1st and 10 for Gateway at their own 44. So still a takeaway by Gateway, the second turnover of the game for Central Catholic. And this one gives the Gators an opportunity to strike first in half number 2. Birch, a very compact pistol, will hand off to Jaquan Reynolds, who will wrestle his way forward for a gain of about 3. Down at the bottom of the pile for the Vikings, Petraglia.
Brought down by Carmen Petraglia.
Second and 7 for Gateway, ball approaching midfield.
Gators going to try and establish that ground game. Really struggled in the first half. Reynolds had one good pop for about 5 or 6 yards, but other than that, the Gators have done a good job in pass pro, have given Birch time to throw, but they have not been able to run the ball all that well.
Play action, toss, too high. Was looking for Livesey, but the closest player to the football was Anthony Specca, the linebacker for Central Catholic.
That's tough because you're trying to keep it away from guys that are 6'2", 6'3", and you're trying to thread that needle to Livesey, who is considerably shorter as you take a look at that size disparity. Livesey just 5'9". So Birch just sort of sailed that one a little bit to try and get it over everyone.
3rd and 7 for the Gators with 10:53 to play third quarter. Gateway will dispatch 3 receivers to the wide side right. Straight drop back for Birch, all kinds of time, and it will be bobbled and then intercepted. This time Specca comes up with it. He will take it into Gators territory, will be tackled by Gateway's Derek Selby. But another turnover for Birch.
It's just frustrating to see this offense so disjointed in a game leading up to the postseason, and certainly Central Catholic has played incredibly well defensively tonight. But a lot of these wounds feel super self-inflicted if you're the Gators. And now once again, you get the takeaway. You go, in essence, 3 and out with turning it over there on 3rd down, and now Central Catholic with great field position once again. They've had great field position all night.
Handoff to the Vikings. Up the middle goes Faulkner, and Faulkner will be brought down. 2 Gators involved in the stop, including Demetrius Harper, who has returned to the lineup.
Yeah, good to see Harper. He came out a little early before the half ended, got out on the field, got himself loose. And you wonder here if this game does, if Central Catholic scores here, you're down 17 in the third quarter, do you start to think about pulling the trigger on letting some guys rest here? Or do you think you can get back in this one?
Another Gator that was shaken up in the first half. Leonard Sherrod has returned to the lineup as Faulkner takes that handoff, and he's got nowhere to go. He's brought down a couple of yards deep in the backfield as the stop is made by Remy Bose. Also involved in the tackle, Louis Douglas.
Been some hard hits in this one.
3rd and about 5 for the Vikings. Wayner tosses, and the pass is incomplete as he was looking to the left side for Sullivan.
Incomplete.
Looks like a flag came in on the other side of the field. Check in with our referee and see what this is about. And as you look across the field, it was a penalty against Central Catholic. An ineligible receiver downfield against Central Catholic declined by the Gators. Looks like the Vikings going to keep their offense on the field right now.
4th down and 5 for the Vikings from the Gateway 39.
But the quarterback Wayner deep enough to pooch it away, and that's exactly what he will do as this one takes a couple of bounces towards the goal line and will be downed by Central Catholic at the 1 for the second time today. Gateway is 99 yards from pay dirt.
Boy, that was perfectly executed by Wayner and a great job. That ball bounced around the 10-yard line and a good job by the Vikings getting downfield quickly. Take a look at the gunner there on the top of your screen. Getting down there in a hurry, getting behind the ball here, diving on it, making sure that that doesn't cross the line. That's excellent execution, and those are the things that win and lose football games. I mean, now the Gators have to mind their P's and Q's, which they have struggled. Can't fumble it here, or else you're giving up at least 2 points. So the Gators going to have to really focus here, try and take care of this football.
Birch will be in the shotgun with Jaquan Reynolds to his right-hand side. Hand off to Reynolds. Has a crease. Out across the 10. He's got enough for the first down. Out towards the 14. How about that downfield blocking by Matthew Brooks? A drive block of 20 yards capped off by a pancake.
Now he lives for that. You know that fires him up. He just ran those 20 yards. He's probably got more energy at the end of that play than he did at the beginning. As you take a look, you see him there at the end. My goodness. That is not a guy you like lining up across from.
First and 10 Gateway from their own 14.
Hand off, Reynolds running left. He's hit and brought down. Hit hard was Reynolds at around the 11-yard line before being driven back and down by Faulkner.
What a big hit there. Take a look. Got off the block and just drove those feet backwards, lit up Reynolds. Well, nice little gash play there to get the first down, but it's been tough sledding overall for the Gators trying to run this football with Reynolds.
.8:30 to play. Quarter 3, Gateway down 10. Gateway turned the ball over yet again here in the third quarter, but Gateway defense came up strong and did not allow points. Play action. Toss to Reynolds. Reynolds out across the 15, but the Vikings converge quickly, and Reynolds is not able to pick up a Gateway first down as Deron Smith and another Viking get involved in the stop.
Yeah, they got caught over pursuing early in the game, and Reynolds was able to break free out of the backfield for a pretty long gain. Since then, Central Catholic has stayed at home and really been anticipating that screen pass consistently, and they've done a good job taking that away from the Gators.
Smith did a great job reading that, shedding blockers, and peeling over to make that stop. So now it is third down and about 7. Play action. Toss left. Pass deflected by Smith. Deron Smith got a big paw up and knocks it down to the turf. And the punt unit will have to come on for Gateway.
Fourth down and 7 for the Gators.
Just unable to sustain drives for the Gators, and now you're going to give Central Catholic the ball back, likely in your own territory once again, unless Plaskin can really nail this one and get a good bounce. That's just tough to ask your defense to hold whenever they're on a short field again and again and again and again.
Low snap. Plaskin gets away a wobbler. Takes a nice bounce in favor of Gateway and will continue to roll in favor of the Gators towards the 30-yard line. And to be frank, Carlos Diggs picked that up at around the 40. That had a couple more yards in it.
It did. That's a frustrating mistake from a freshman there. You got to know better, even if you are a 9th grader. And so they have it with 60 yards to pay dirt, and that's arguably been some of the worst field position that Central Catholic has had tonight.
Vikings will start the drive first and 10 from their own 40.
3 receivers bunched on the left as Wayner's in the shotgun and a sidecar to his right. Gonzalez will now motion out of the bunch. Toss near side left, complete. Room for Sullivan. Sullivan picks up the first down into Gators territory. Brought down at the 48 by Kenny Lewis.
Sullivan shifty, takes a little step back there and got a lot of size too, which helps. So Nice ball there from Wayner. Put a little zip on that one.
Gain of 12 on the pass play. First down.
Nice little pitch and catch there.
Yeah, Sullivan, 6'4", 195-pound junior tight end. Now Sullivan will motion left to right and then settle and movement along the front 5 for Central Catholic.
Boy, that's got to make a coaching staff just absolutely livid. Terry Totten, who's been so successful in 18 years at Central Catholic, and have your team this late in the year. I know they're young, only a couple seniors starting on both sides of the ball, but that's just, it's unacceptable to have this many procedural penalties at this point in the season.
Feels like Totten has been here at Central Catholic forever. Started as an assistant coach under Art Walker Jr., then promoted to the head coach when Art Walker Jr. went up to North Allegheny. And he has been here ever since and has led a great program, first at the Quad A level and then now at the 6A level.
Shields on the carry.
And Shields the ball carrier on 2nd and 15. Picks up 4, brings up 3rd down and 11.
Well, they made it to the 6A finals last season before running into a historically good Mount Lebanon team that sent a couple guys to Navy, their quarterback to Dayton.
3 receivers right, hitch, toss. Gonzalez couldn't run underneath it. He got 1 step behind Kenny Lewis but couldn't get there.
Now a little overthrown. Wayner's been really, really good coming down the stretch here. We talked about throwing for over 300 yards in the last couple games. Really putting together a quality performance in a close win over Seneca Valley that helped them clinch a playoff spot. And now they just sit and wait. They've got a number of different scenarios that could play out tonight based on some of these scores.
Wayner in the shotgun, all alone back there in the empty set. Motion man from left to right is Shields. Stepping up into the pocket is Wayner. Pass complete to Gonzalez. Tackle made in the open field by Harper, Dallas Harper, making the stop on 3rd and 11, gain of just 9.
That's a heck of a stop there. You got Demetrius Harper coming up a little bit limp as you take a look at that replay once again. The other Harper on defense forcing a 4th down. It might be go for it territory again. It might be pooch punt territory again. I mean, they executed on it so well on the last one. And again, it's the risk you take with these guys all playing tonight. Your first teamers, Demetrius Harper. We've seen him get shaken up a few times this year. He seems resilient. Hopefully that's nothing serious. Look at how far Wayner is back in the shotgun. I think we might see another punt here.
Peyton Wayner, play action, rolls left, throws left, pass complete. Central Catholic first down. The ball came loose, but that was after Sullivan was brought down. Tackle on the play by Dallas Harper.
Sullivan, he's got not only the skill but the size as well. I mean, when you're 6'4", 195 pounds at the high school level, as you see, he's able to snatch that one back up there after it squirted out. But hard to bring that guy down in open space without him falling forward for a few extra yards. And that's exactly what happened there.
And he's just a junior, so you got to think that by next season, put another 10, 15 pounds on him up above the 200 mark. As to the ground go the Vikings. Running left is Amari Shields, and he will be brought down along the boundary. Demetrius Harper, or rather Dallas Harper on the stop, also involved on the tackle, Amari Gans, the sophomore. A game that has some interest to Gateway fans. The Woodland Hills Wolverines lead the Penn Hills Indians 7-3 in the 3rd quarter.
If they're able to pull that, I wouldn't necessarily call it an upset because it is a rivalry game, but certainly Penn Hills with a better record coming in, that could really set off, as we talked about earlier, some anarchy.
Get the dominoes starting to fall should that happen.
Well, I mean, you've got Penn Trafford up on Franklin Regional currently. Granted, Bethel Park up 20-7 on Peters, and Upper St. Clair up 28-0 on South Fayette. They're taking care of business on their end. Bethel's already in. Upper St. Clair will clinch with what looks like a pretty sure-handed victory. But that Northeast Conference, Pine Richland's getting it done 13-0 over North Hills, but things are far from settled. I mean, North Hills, they're 3-6, but 3-1 in conference. They still have a shot at a playoff berth even if they lose tonight.
Shield settles to the left-hand side of Wayner. Will take the handoff, drives his way towards the line of scrimmage where he's brought down by Roberson Louis June. Freshman on the stop, 6 feet, 240 pounds. I've been trying to see if Baron Fowler has been out there. He most assuredly has not played defense here in the second half, and I tried to see if he was on the offensive line, and I wasn't able to see that last time the Gators had the ball. Late in the second quarter, Chase Gabriel had taken his spot at the guard spot. .310 to go, play action. Wayner looks right, throws right. And he and Jacob Sasek not on the same page. The pass incomplete. Brings up 3rd and 10 at around the 25.
Yeah, not sure if the route was a little bit misplaced there, or if Wayner just sort of let that one fly a little prematurely, but not even close to a connection on that one. And so the Gators now with a chance to bring up a 3rd and long, get a stop here and force either a really long field goal attempt or potentially a 4th down conversion attempt.
2 receivers and a tight end right, 1 receiver to the short side left in Gonzalez. Straight drop back, Wayner looking for Gonzalez, and the pass is broken up. Kenny Lewis went up, deflected it. It was bobbled for a second by Gonzalez, but he couldn't pull it in. That'll bring up 4th and 10 at the 24. And a special teams unit is going to come out, and this may be a field goal attempt, and this one will be a notable field goal of over 40 yards. It'll be 41 yards where they place that block.
You kind of hold your breath. You always expect Gonzalez to come down with it there on that 3rd down play, and now he's shown a little bit of leg here from number 38.
Well, this is 39, Billy Lech. He and Cotter have shared the duties. Fake field goal, and the pass will be caught. Oh my goodness, the fake field goal, a fake punt today, a fake field goal as the holder, Peyton Wayner, looks down the field and finds the tight end, Cole Sullivan, who falls down but is able to haul it in on his way down to the turf, and it will be 1st and goal for the Gateway Gators, or rather for the Central Catholic Vikings.
Yeah, the only saving grace there is if Sullivan doesn't lose his footing. That's an easy 6 right there. But still a goal-to-go situation, and the Gators just getting burned, torched by these special teams fakes. Not prepared for it at all.
Hand off, running left, ball carrier Faulkner.
On the carry.
Gets towards the 5. Remy Bose on the stop for Gateway.
Remy Bose.
In the first half, we saw Jacob Sasek take a handoff on a fake punt and run it down inside of the Gators 15. And this time the fake field goal and the pass to Sullivan sets the Vikings up 1st and goal. Now it's 2nd and goal with the ball at the 5-yard line.
Gut check time again for this defense. They've been so good. Red zone defense. Got to come up big here again.
Handoff, Faulkner starts left, cuts back right, tries to wiggle his way through a hole, but Remy Bose closes that hole quickly. And a gain of about 1 brings up 3rd and goal at the 4.
Boy, Adam, doesn't it just feel like this Central Catholic offense and the Gators defense have been out there for what feels like almost the entire game? And the time of possession numbers, we don't have them in front of us, but it's got to be incredibly lopsided. As if nothing else, the Vikings have chewed up a ton of time here in this 3rd quarter on this drive.
Clock winding, 1:10 to play 3rd quarter. Central Catholic threatening 3rd and goal at the 4. Handoff, Faulkner, nowhere to go as Louis Douglas swallows him up.
In the backfield by Douglas.
Look at Louis Douglas, nobody blocked him.
Well, it's the one real bright spot has been this defense tonight. Special teams and offense have been underwhelming for the Gators, but defensively they've just continued in every one of the games this season outside of that second half against McKeesport to just be difference makers. Again, they forced the field goal.
Got to assume that Central Catholic's going to kick here As Lech is on, this will be a 25-yard attempt, and that field goal is up and in. And Central Catholic extends their lead to 13 points for the first time today.
Gators still hanging around on the strength of this defense. If they're able to get a quick score, try to get a stop, I mean, this is plausible. But just haven't seen the consistency from the Gators outside of that one drive where they were able to pick Central Catholic apart, take care of the ball. And I mean, they even fumbled on that drive in the play right before the touchdown score. I mean, they had a goal-to-go situation before Birch fumbled and then was able to hit Malachi Moore for 15 yards and a score.
We've talked about the Big East Conference tonight. We've talked about the Northeast Conference tonight. But take a look at this Allegheny 6 Conference. Bethel Park, the #1 team in 5A, well on their way to a conference title. For St. Clair, 3-1, #2 in the conference, and #5 in the Triv Live High School Sports Network rankings. Peters Township 3-1, South Fayette's 2-2. Baldwin and Moon both 0-4 on the season.
Yeah, and that slugfest, the Tigers up 28-20 in a game I'm sure everyone is fixated on.
Waiting for those results with bated breath.
Yeah, the Allegheny 6.
Kick will carry towards the end zone and into the end zone for a touchback. So it'll be 1st and 10 for Gateway at the 20.
Yeah, in all likelihood, Peters Township will be alive for a wild card berth. They're going to be hurting if Woodland Hills ends up beating Penn Hills. Those are teams that'll both be 3-2. And you'll have North Hills at 3-2 as well. And add insult to injury for Peters Township. Penn Trafford currently leading, and if they move to 3-2, all reports show that Gardner points-wise, which we can explain in a second, Penn Trafford has set itself up pretty well to secure a wild card berth should they hold on against the Panthers.
Shotgun. 2 hitches and then a toss to Livesey, who was on the crossing pattern. Livesey has his jersey pulled and drags him to the boundary. Does a Central Catholic Viking. As the tackle made by Specca. That's enough for a Gators first down, out towards the 31-yard line.
So just as I say that, Franklin Regional has scored, tie that game up at 14. So for folks at home that don't know, ties for the playoffs are broken by head-to-head competition if possible. 3-way ties are also broken with head-to-head results. But if that can't break the tie, they go to Gardner points. And if that doesn't work...
Play action. Toss. Harper jump ball. He can't pull it in. Nice defensive job there by Stanek to get it away from Harper.
Just hung up too long. Need to get more zip on that one. Harper was open, and that ball just hung and hung and hung, and it gave the defensive back Stanek a chance to get back into that play. Look, had a step. That one, you see, he just sort of has to wait there, and it becomes a jump ball. And Stanek a good job of at least making sure that if he's not going to get it, nobody's going to get it.
Vince, earlier I mentioned that I was looking for Baron Fowler. I do see him set at left guard for the Gateway Gators, so that's good news for Gators fans that he has returned to the lineup. Pitch to the near side for Harper, and it's a forward pitch and an incomplete pass. Doesn't matter whether it's overhand, a chest pass, underhand. If it goes forward and it's incomplete, it's incomplete.
And the struggles continue for the Gators. Central Catholic had that one completely under wraps. Even if that would have been completed, it wouldn't have netted anything meaningful. So we're at the end of the third quarter. Probably a good chance now to try and sneak this in. Talking through some of the tiebreaker stuff for those who are curious, because there's going to be a lot of that looks like it's going to have to come into play tonight. And so we talked about head-to-head competition for both 2-way and 3-way ties. If they can't break it that way, they have the Gardner points. If 3 teams are still tied after Gardner points, then the WPIAL tiebreaker points are applied, which teams get points based off of comparative scores in conference games. So teams can earn up to 10 points in a win and lose up to 10 points in a loss. So a 7-0 win is worth 7 points, a 24-14 loss is worth -10 points. And so all a bunch of mathematician type work that's going to have to go into play tonight. So we've got some teams that are making it easy for us. We know Upper St. Clair, Bethel Park are taking care of business, but got some upsets brewing as well.
3rd and 10 for the Gators. To the air they will go, looking for Livesey. It was Birch, but the pass is broken up by Cole Sullivan.
Incomplete, broken up by Sullivan.
Good play there by Sullivan. Livesey again, not able to get enough separation there, and that's tough. You know, can't really go up top when you've got a receiver that's 5'9" playing against DBs that are 6'4". That's a decided disadvantage, and offense was out there for a second, but punt team. Wonder if you'll see the Gators go with a fake here, Adam.
On one hand, you don't want to put anything on tape. In the other hand, if you're going to have something in your repertoire like that, you want to practice it in a live game situation. As a nice return there for Jacob Sasek, his second big special teams play of the night. The first one was on the fake punt earlier on.
And that's a good point, Adam. You ultimately have to keep in mind that at the end of the day, win, lose, you're no real worse for the wear coming out of this contest. You just want to keep everyone healthy and in a rhythm going into the playoff contest next week.
Now, this has got to be a difficult game for both teams to get up for. I mean, just absolutely completely meaningless in all levels. You know, the fact that this is a game between a 6A team and a 5A team, 2 teams that have made the playoffs, a game that will have very little bearing on their playoff seedings. It's tough to end the season this way, as to the ground go the Vikings. Shields tackled by Amari Gans.
Brought down by Gans.
He's certainly not the first to bring up those sorts of frustrations with the scheduling. I think the thing for the 6A teams that makes it so tough is how few of them there are, with just 5 teams in 6A. You play 4 conference games, then the other 6 are non-conference. We talked about that here with some of the fine folks here that we're sharing the press booth with today, and you can't really control that. It's all based off of enrollment and handled at a higher level than even the region can control, but it's still frustrating nonetheless.
Handoff, Shields met at the line of scrimmage. Gans and Brooks on the stop for Gateway.
Gators' run defense continues to be incredibly stout. They've forced a lot of 3rd and long situations here tonight.
3rd down and 9 right now for the Vikings. Actually be 3rd and 8 as they spotted the ball at the 35-yard line. Two receivers right, one to the far side left. And Central Catholic is going to use a timeout. That'll be their first timeout used this evening in half number 2. 10:16 to play here in the 4th quarter. The Vikings have the ball at the Gators' 35-yard line. Don't forget, next week, first round of the WPIAL 5A playoffs. 5A playoffs will be capped off with the 5A championship game on November 19th at Norwin High School. 6A and 5A will play to the 19th at Norwin, where the championship games will be held. And then the following Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, it will be single A through 4A at Acrisure Stadium over the Pittsburgh Steelers and Pitt Panthers.
Couple teams opening up larger leads. Mount Lebanon up 24-0 on Cannonback. Seneca Valley up 26-14 on North Allegheny. And Pine Richland up 27-0 on North Hills.
Toss to the near side off of play action. Wiggling through traffic goes Jaden Thrift, and Thrift will be brought down at the 27-yard line, and that's enough for a first down for Central Catholic. His attack was made by Ricariel, the Gators linebacker.
And Dallas Harper just coming up a little short on that one. Dove at the ankles, came up empty, trying to stop Central Catholic on that 3rd and long situation. And this defense has got to be getting tired with how much they've played tonight.
1st and 10, Vikings from the Gateway 26.
2 receivers left, 2 to the near side right. Wayner looks right, throws right, pass complete. Pulling that one in, Gompers, and Gompers finally wrestled down by Kenny Lewis. 2 other Gators were in the vicinity. Kenny Lewis was the only one to try to make a play, number 1 on the ball and number 2 on the receiver.
I think the one thing that's obvious, that's going to be tough for any team that plays Central Catholic, and why no one should sleep on them, is on the outside, the skill positions. They have a ton of size, Adam. 6'4", 6'5", Gompers 6'5", 185 pounds, and that's tough to handle. They've got some big guys.
And all these guys are juniors. I mean, it's amazing when you run through every skill player that Central Catholic has, how many of them are juniors. While upperclassmen certainly at least have another year of eligibility as that pass is broken up. Nice job by Leonard Sherrod to break up that pass at the goal line.
A good play there by Sherrod to poke that away at the last moment, come around, not hit too early, but add some contact there, make it harder to catch.
Bradley Gompers, one of those big guys you talked about in the skill positions for Central Catholic, 6 feet 5 inches tall, 185 pounds, just a sophomore. Wayner, shotgun, looks right the whole way, throws right, wide open for a Central Catholic touchdown. Jacob Sasic.
Jacob Sasic for the Central Catholic touchdown.
Sasic started this drive with a great punt return and caps it off with the touchdown catch.
Just a little pitch and catch. Again, you got that much size, and what I've really been impressed with tonight is how well they have spread the wealth, how well they have passed it around. Peyton Wayner with 3-4 different options that he can go to have consistently come down with the ball and made plays.
PAT is up and good by Billy Letch. And Central Catholic expands their lead to 20 points, 27-7 on the Gateway Gators.
The score, Central Catholic 27, Gateway 7.
And now you start to wonder, do you maybe decide with 9 minutes left in a 3-score game that just might be time to let some other guys get a little playing time?
Time to take a look at the Trib Live High School Sports Network 5A rankings. Talked about Bethel Park at the top of the list, 8-1 on the season. Pine Richland, number 2 with 3 losses on the year. Gateway, who looks like they're on their way to their 3rd loss. Currently ranked number 3, Franklin Regional, 6-2 in the 4th spot in the rankings. And Upper St. Clair rounds out the top 5 at 5th.
Don't sleep on the Pine Richland Rams. They haven't gotten a ton of buzz because they started out 1-3, but they've won 5 games in a row. They've looked really strong doing it in that Northeast Conference. Had a hiccup early in the season against Penn Hills. But John Ladon, who was at Penn Hills previously, now at Pine Richland, he's got that team rolling on all cylinders.
Kick will be returned by Harper from around the 8-yard line. Racing up the center of the field, cutting around Vikings. Finds a crease, drives his way across the 35 and brought down right around that 35-yard line.
You just feel like every time Harper has the ball in his hands, he's just a 1 cut, 1 second away from making something big happen. And I really like the decision to put him back there on kickoffs. And he's done a good job getting upfield and putting together some nice returns. Every time he's had the ball in his hands on the kick return, the Gators have had the ball pretty darn good field position.
Start to drive 1st and 10 from their own 35-yard line.
Birch, shotgun. Reynolds will settle to his left. Now Harper. Arcing motion. Pitch to Harper. Out to the 40 before being driven down the turf. Nice open field tackle by Anthony Specca, the 6'3 junior.
You wonder if for Central Catholic, they've put together a couple wins here. They're on their way to what looks like ending the season, regular season, with a 3-game winning streak. Is this a young team that's peaking at the right time? They're going to be a tough out in the playoffs. Well coached. If they can just avoid all those pre-snap penalties.
Reynolds driving his way across the 40 to the 42-yard line.
Reynolds, the ball carrier.
That'll bring up third and a manageable 3. The line to gain the 45.
Third down and 3 for
2 receivers right, 1 receiver to the near side left. Option left. Birch, he's got the first down and much more. Now towards the 50 and will be brought down to the turf. At the 49-yard line. Multiple blue jerseys there on the stop, including Xavier Thomas.
Birch is sneaky with his legs. Talked about it again and again and again. He doesn't go to it nearly as frequently as I think he could. He's gotten better and better as the years have gone on running the football.
2 right, 1 left. Handoff. Reynolds hesitates. I think if he hits that a little bit harder, he picks up more yardage, but it picks up just 3 yards in the process, bringing up 2nd down and 7.
Interesting to see the Gators go heavy on the ground here late in this one. Yeah, you're right, Adam. If you're Reynolds, you just got to get going north to south there and try and initiate that contact. Instead, he gets stood up just a few yards downfield after the line of scrimmage.
Clock winding, 6:40 to play in regulation. Play action. Birch rolling right, steps up, tosses, finds Harper. Harper bobbles it, then catches it, and he'll be hauled down. Tackle on the play by Xavier Thomas.
Brought down by Xavier Thomas.
They've had some good fortune throwing that ball across the middle of the field. Some intermediate routes there. A little bit deeper of a strike there for Birch, who did a good job. Good awareness there, moving around, keeping himself clean, keeping himself upright, and then throwing a dart there to Harper. That was a nice play.
Low snap. Birch feigns right, throws back left, caught by Livesey. Livesey couldn't hold on to it cleanly at first, but still was able to pull it in, and it's brought down at the 15 for a Gateway first down.
Boy, he really did play hot potato with that one, as that one was in and out of the hands for a good couple seconds there before he comes down with it. Luckily, was able to secure that before he sustains the hit right here, just in the nick of time.
Again, Thomas on the tackle. Birch pulls it out of the belly on the RPO. He's grabbed up around the name plate. No flag flies as Sullivan makes the stop for the Central Catholic Vikings.
Well, they've had some success on these plays here, getting Birch out in open space, but a good job there. Nobody fooled by Central Catholic this time.
Excuse me, that was number 4, Maceo Marshall, who made the tackle for Central Catholic. Toss right, caught by Livesey. Livesey inside of the 10, down towards the 5. A couple of Vikings there on the stop, including Anthony Specca.
Good to see this rhythm now. It's unfortunate the Gators haven't been able to get this sort of consistency, getting the ball down the field earlier in the game. Might be a little too late. See if they can punch one in here.
Handoff, Reynolds. Goes right, wiggles left, drives his way towards the 1-yard line. That's enough for a first down, bring up 1st and goal. They'll spot the ball at the 1-yard line.
You do have to wonder, though, if there's a little fatigue on the defensive side of the ball for Central Catholic. You start to get a little complacent, a little comfortable. Up big, clock is winding.
Handoff, Reynolds. Hit at the line of scrimmage. Does he get into the end zone? Neither official puts their arms up yet. And it'll be, I suppose, 2nd and goal inside the 1.
Reynolds on the carry. Short gain on the play.
Yeah, hard to see there. See if we can get the replay in real quick.
Second and goal.
It's hard. We don't really have a conclusive look there. It looked like he fell forward. Nonetheless.
Maybe the ball didn't cross, but the head did. Regardless, second and goal inside the 1. Handoff Reynolds. Waltz is in this time. And a Gateway touchdown. Cuts the Central Catholic lead down to 14. A PAT will make it 13.
I wonder if you go with the onside kick, you might as well with this little time left in the game.
All things that you really just need to work on as you head towards the postseason.
Absolutely.
Snap a little high, but Livesey gets it down, and the PAT by Cole Plaskin is up and in.
Plaskin's point after is good.
And that cuts the Gateway deficit down to 13, 27-14 with 3:47 to play here in quarter number 4.
And elsewhere, out east, deadlocked going into the 4th quarter, Franklin Regional and Penn Trafford. So we're not going to have any closure on that one right away. A couple of these games pretty much done and dusted, especially Upper St. Clair all over South Fayette. Bethel Park up a couple scores on Peters Township, but some of these games coming down to the wire. Woodland Hills and Penn Hills, just a 4-point game in the 4th quarter, last check. So that's a big game. And then Franklin Regional and Penn Trafford. Those are your 2 close ones to really keep an eye on. Pine Richland taking care of North Hills, and Seneca Valley up a couple scores on North Allegheny, Mount Lebanon all over Cannon Mac. So things coming a little clearer for our Central Catholic audience. As it looks like Central Catholic, Seneca Valley, and Mount Lebanon hang on here. They'll be 4th. They'll have to take on North Allegheny.
We talked about this in the first half, Vince. While Penn Trafford Franklin Regional doesn't have much impact on where the Gators are going to end up playoff-wise, it certainly would help Gator morale should the Penn Trafford Warriors win, because they get that victory and the Gateway Gators get a co-championship trophy to put in the trophy case outside the gym. Of course, conference titles, the first step in what you really want to get is that gold football in Hershey or wherever they're going to play nowadays, some month from now or so.
But still an opportunity to be remembered, doing something memorable, standing out, being at the top of your conference. I'm sure for these seniors, if nothing else, it'd be nice to have that feather in the cap going into the postseason.
1st and 10 for the Vikings with the football at the 48 after Central Catholic was able to recover the onside kick that we talked about heading into that kickoff, as the tackle made by Remy Bose, as the Vikings more than happy to go to the ground and eat up some clock with Amari Shields, the 5'9" sophomore, carrying the rock.
That's some of the longest, one of the longest runs we've seen on the night. I mean, this Gators run defense has been exceptional, and they've done a good job shedding blockers and getting into the backfield. They haven't brought a lot of pressure on Wayner. Both quarterbacks have had a good bit of time to throw, but good run defense.
To the ground go the Vikings yet again, as they have a new quarterback in Jair Walls. Whistle blowing as Gateway is going to use a timeout here.
Timeout Gators.
How about Wayner tonight? Goes over 2,000 yards passing on the season. Very special, hard to do in just a 10-game season. To average 200 yards per game, to be as consistent as he has. But
take a look at the standings in the Northeast Conference. Pine Richland up top 3-1, Penn Hills 3-1, North Hills 3-1, and Woodland Hills looking to upset Penn Hills at 2-2. Shaler's 1-3. Fox Chapel not only winless in conference but winless on the season as well.
And this was the conference last season that was a real logjam going into the playoffs as well. It looks like Pine Richland's going to take care of business, get at least a share of that conference title. They'll get it outright if Woodland Hills can hang on, and the Wolverines will put themselves in a position to potentially steal a playoff bid. It's North Hills and Penn Hills. If Penn Hills wins, if they can come back and beat the Wolverines, then they will be the first place team overall with a head-to-head win over Pine Richland early in the season.
To the ground again go the Vikings as the ball carrier is Amari Shields. Shields drives his way towards the first down flag, but won't get there as Gateway's going to use another timeout. So Vince, a couple of weeks ago there was some controversy with the Central Catholic Vikings. A blocked field goal by the Penn Hills Indians, which would have sealed the victory for Penn Hills, but the ball settled down and it looked like the ball crossed the line of scrimmage. Now, believe it or not, there was a topic of conversation at a Robert Morris football game in the press box last Saturday. And one of the officials, who is really a rules expert in NFHS, talked about the fact that the ball may have been at the line of scrimmage, but it was in the expanded neutral zone. And in NFHS rules, if the ball settles in the expanded neutral zone, it is still a live ball, just like it were prior to crossing the line of scrimmage.
I've watched that play a number of times. I mean, the officials were right on it. They paid attention to it the entire time, and heads-up play by Central Catholic. Credit to them.
And even if the ball did, like I say, cross the line of scrimmage or get to the line of scrimmage, it wouldn't have mattered because of that expanded neutral zone that's part of high school football rules, as Louis Douglas makes a nice stop there for Gateway to force the turnover on downs, and the Gators will get the ball back just shy of the 45-yard line. Nice open field tackle by Douglas there as he brings down the reserve quarterback Walls.
Well, there's just enough time here. If you can get a quick strike, get yourself 6 or 7 points, all of a sudden you're an onside kick away from this being really interesting. Gators offense looked really good on that last drive, but it took them some time. They went pretty run heavy. They don't really have that luxury here.
High snap, flag flies at the snap. The pass complete to Reynolds. He's inside of Vikings territory as he has the ball pulled away from him at the 31-yard line. The officials have not made a call here yet. Now a flag is going to fly against the Viking. So Specca is going to be guilty of a personal foul here. Now, again, there was the completed pass to Jaquan Reynolds. He was wrestled down at the 31, but the ball was pulled away from him in the process by a Viking. I believe it was Specca. But as you can see, there was also a flag at the line of scrimmage right at the snap. So we've got a lot of conversating to go on here.
Now, the ball's definitely out before Reynolds hits the ground. It was a bang-bang play.
We'll check in with our referee. It'll be a procedural penalty against Gateway. Dead ball, personal foul against Central Catholic. And they're not going to give the ball to the Vikings. They said that Reynolds was down. They blew the whistle.
Well, I mean, forgive me unless I'm missing something here, but if it's a procedural penalty, the play should be nullified in general.
It can be if it's not a false start, if it's an illegal formation or something like that, the play can continue.
Well, either way, the Gators able to get a few yards out of that. I think catch a real break there because that ball really looked like it was out before it hit the ground.
Play action. Toss complete. Malachi Moore pulls it in. He's hit as he brings it inside of the 20 towards the 15-yard line.
A good heads-up play there by Moore. Gets up, finds the nearest official, gets the ball. Gators get set. Now we got a red zone possession here with 2 minutes left. Things start to get a little bit interesting.
Curious as to why the clock was running long before the sticks were set, as a nice job there knifing through Ty Uhas brings down Birch in the backfield at the 21-yard line, and Gateway will use their final timeout.
Unfortunate there, a bit of a missed assignment, just gets blown off the ball. So now gut check time on this possession. See if the Gators can't come up with a quick score here the next couple plays. You want to try and get on the board as quickly as possible to give yourself at least a chance to get that onside kick back with a little bit of time left. And now the Gators, with no timeouts left, they're going to have to be real careful if they were to get the ball back in that hypothetical situation of how they use the field. That middle of the field is going to be taken away due to time.
A rare mistake by Louis Douglas, one of the Gators' offensive linemen, as he allowed Uhas to blow past him and make the stop. So after the Birch sack, it is second and long for the Gateway Gators with the ball at the 21, and the line to gain appears to be the 5, so it'll be second and 16 from our vantage point. Birch steps up into the pocket, throws, tipped out of the hands of Harper, and is it intercepted? They will say it is taken away after Harper couldn't pull it in. Gavin Stanek comes up with the INT and another Gateway turnover.
Boy, and Adam, I don't know if we'll be able to see it on the replay, but Derek Selby was by himself in the corner of the end zone. You look, he cuts in and then out. He is wide open by himself. Birch misses him, and then, I don't know, it looks like it might have been a catch. They're going to roll it that way at least.
I think it was. I mean, I watched it land in the chest of Stanek initially. While he rolled over, I don't know that he held onto it the whole way, but I don't think it matters much because it's just another in a long line of Gator giveaways that leads to a Central Catholic possession.
Well, we have one of our first final scores of the night. The Woodland Hills Wolverines take down the Penn Hills Indians, and that just creates that much more of a logjam in 5A in the Northeast Conference. We'll see if that ends up being enough to get them in. I don't have all the math with all the numbers that are coming in tonight with all the Gardner points and things like that, but I'm sure we'll know in short order who has a very strong likelihood of being in or being out. If you're Woodland Hills, you've got to hope that Franklin Regional is able to hold on against Penn Trafford. We'll see. I love this time of year.
Again, at last check, it was the Panthers leading the Warriors 21-14 in Harrison City.
And that's a team that, after beating Gateway, really seemed like that was the spark. I think that they punch a little bit above their weight talent-wise. They certainly have a great quarterback-running back duo, but I think more than anything, that's a team that believes in themselves.
Vikings will go under center here on 1st and 10 from inside their own 1-yard line, and false start in the end zone by the tailback. And that'll be half the distance to the goal, which is about a gnat's eyelash.
I was going to say, at least not a very costly penalty when you look at it on the yardage. But as we hear the bemoaning of the Vikings faithful, you talking about double-digit procedural penalties in the last regular season game heading into a playoff run. I mean, that's going to drive anyone crazy. Fan, parent, coach, all the above. Can't have it.
Wall steps under center, drives his way to the line of scrimmage, and shoves his way for about a full yard there, so it'll be out towards the 2-yard line. And the clock will wind on 2nd and 9.
If you were able to come up with a stop in the end zone here and get 2, it's an 11-point game. Really don't have a ton of time left, but if you got the touchdown, then all you would need is the field goal.
Second down and 9 for the Vikings.
That'll live in hope.
From the 2.
In for what all intents and purposes is an exhibition game. I think it's time to call it a day. With a minute to go here and the clock winding.
Remy Bose doesn't think that. He took the ball carrier there and was dragging him back into the end zone on forward progress.
Walls. He gets dragged back there. Louis Douglas gets involved, as does Remy Bose.
3rd down
3rd and 9 at the 2, clock winding towards 30 seconds to go here. And Walls will take a knee, and that will do it for tonight's football game. So the Gateway Gators pick up their 3rd loss on the season. 2 of those losses coming out of classification, 1 to the 4A McKeesport Tigers and 1 to the 6A Central Catholic Vikings. 27-14 the loss here tonight. And this was a hard game to get motivated for both these football teams. And you could really tell in the second half that both teams were going through the motions.
Absolutely. More than anything, you're just glad to get out of this healthy, no injuries. Get a couple guys dinged up. They got a week to rest. Guys like Demetrius Harper, Baron Fowler, who came back into the game. And so you're no worse for the wear coming out of this one. Now you wait and see tomorrow afternoon. You find out who you're going to play. Certainly with a couple scores going ways that we might not have thought, especially with Woodland Hills springing a big win over Penn Hills. Who knows? Who knows if we'll be at Antimarino Stadium next week? I got a hunch we'll be on the road. Now we just have to find out where. But certainly a tough one. The offense, you just hope it doesn't hurt their psyche too much. A poor performance hanging on to the ball, taking care of the ball tonight from a number of different players. But the defense continues to show they're going to keep the Gators in every single game. A really great performance, albeit giving up 27 points.
And yeah, like you said, giving up 27 points, but the fact that Gateway just turned the ball over so many times, you've got to give the defense so much credit.
You do, and they played hard. They stayed in it. Run defense-wise, they were completely stout. Got picked apart in the passing game a little bit, but you're not going to play another team this season that has a quarterback and a receiving crew that are all well over 6 foot and as talented as this Central Catholic team is. I mean, I get the fans' frustration here. If the Vikings can wipe away some of these penalties on offense, they're going to be a tough out for anyone in the 6A playoffs. But, revisiting the schedule, I think the toughest team the Gators played all season, ironically or coincidentally, was the 4A team that they faced in McKeesport. I know that there's a lot of good teams, and right now Central Valley is up a couple scores on Aliquippa. But the Tigers got as good a chance as anyone to come out of 4A with a title.
Super athletic, big guys, fast guys. They were a great football team. But, of course, Gateway, they have their size, they have their talent as well, and they're going to have to put it on display in the WPIAL playoffs next week. And we'll find out very shortly who they're going to play and where they're going to play and when they're going to play.
Yeah, I got a hunch that it's going to be on the road, and I think 2 teams to keep an eye on, Upper St. Clair, Pine Richland. I think those are a couple candidates prime for a Gators first-round matchup. Whoever it's going to be, there's only 8 teams. There's nowhere to hide in this bracket. 1 through 8, they're going to be good teams. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this shakes out.
Now, when does the WPIL announce the pairings?
Tomorrow afternoon. So we really will not have to wait long. Traditionally they've waited until Monday to release them, but getting a jump on it bright and early tomorrow. We'll know just a little past lunch. I think it's about 2 p.m. We'll have a good idea of who the Gators are playing and how the bracket and total is going to look. I'm going to do my tradition of mocking up my bracketology tonight. I was perfect last year, so we'll see. Maybe we'll post it somewhere. Hold me accountable.
Well, Vince, put a bow on this one.
Gators came out tonight and really had to try and muscle their way through a game that didn't mean anything for them, and they made it out healthy. And so you're no worse for the wear. You take away some things you can work on next week. You saw some things on film, and you saw more than anything, you probably should be ready for some special teams fakes next week because they got kind of exposed there.
Well, that'll do it for our coverage this evening as the Gateway Gators fall to the Pittsburgh Central Catholic Vikings, the 3rd loss of the year for the Gateway Gators, but it won't affect their playoff hopes as they head to the WPIAL playoffs next week, and we will have the coverage for you here on Gateway Productions. For my broadcast partner Vince Russo and our entire crew, I'm Adam Gusky. Thanking you for joining us here tonight in Dormont, Pennsylvania. We'll talk to you next week.